do this. How are you doing, everyone?
Good.
Excellent.
Good.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Okay, so did you guys happen to look at any of those slideshows? I think if you guys are okay with it, we look through a little bit of those today. At least a couple of them.
So by the time we adjourn, what would you like us to have accomplished? When we're walking out, what do you want to say we achieved?
So this meeting, tie up some loose ends and some failures in the project so far. Make a great meeting video targeted for our audience. Bring up interesting ideas and suggestions where everyone feels heard, and at the end, I want everyone to feel like more at ease and more just like chill, like not like stressed because like we have this like insane meeting or something like that.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Okay.
Great.
Alright, we got that. Do you guys want to discuss the YouTube video?
Oh yeah. Literally me? Sure. Let's do it.
Okay.
Good.
So, for me, I thought it was like super interesting about like all the different characters that he mentioned, because I just see those all over Instagram, like Taxi Driver and Blade Runner 2049. It's like all those like.
You rewatched that, right?
I did. I rewatched Blade Runner 2049. You did. It was awesome. Like I think we have a lot of stuff that we can take out of it, because it was like sci-fi, you know, based in the future. That was my thoughts. What do you guys think?
I haven't seen the 2049 yet, so I have to myself I have to watch it. But from what you described, and from what I know of it, I mean, it's got all the elements. It's got the elements of what we want, and all of those, whether it's the old Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner, Matrix, I mean, they all kind of orbit around the same concept, futuristic dystopia, you know.
But the literally me, I thought it focused more on a character type than a context. Or was it both, where there's a context that the character's coming up against, like even a Taxi Driver? Right, so that's not futuristic Blade Runner dystopia, it's 1975. You're like, well, hold on. It's a New York where, remember, that audience, those filmmakers, the people in the theater watching Taxi Driver, we had just finished winning World War II and walking on the moon. So America, like things made sense. We had direction, and there was order, and a vibrance to it, a vitality. By 1975, you're driving a taxi cab on 42nd and Broadway, and that's gone. Vietnam vet. But he'll drive anybody anywhere. So he's coming into the power structure, and he is not he's not harmonizing.
You see the underbelly of the city, like, there's the midtown, there's downtown, like the Flash that we know of New York. And then there's this, like, not so elegant underbelly, which is the dystopian part of this movie.
And he's on the fringes, he's on the margins, and he's got that same character as Ryan Gosling or Christian Bale in American Psycho was also in New York. Patrick Bateman was not in the underbelly as a cab driver, he was on top as a Wall Street guy.
Right.
They had the same reaction to what they encountered and what encountered them, and they had the same way of being, and the same broken internal, it's partly a rage, it's partly an irreverence and a defiance, and it's partly a relationship with themselves that has split. So there's both in New York. One's in 75, one's in 98. One's at the bottom, one's at the top. And they have the same sort of, like, they're not smiling. They're not happy. They're troubled. And, they're stuck in their shadow. And they're looking outside of them, and they're full of rage and conflict. So do you guys like that for our central character? It seems to be the consensus that we do. It's not a woman, it's not an old guy, it's not a little kid, it's not a retarded person, it's sort of a otherwise well put together dude who's disintegrated. He's Bruce Wayne in Batman. He's in Tim Burton's Batman especially, when you see, I'm plagiarizing somebody, but when you see Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, sometimes he's wearing a tuxedo and he's at a benefit, sometimes he's wearing a suit, he's never really there. Someone will say something, Alfred will say something to him in the middle of a big party, and I'll be like, what? And then when he's Batman, he's like, focus. So there's all that. Are you guys kind of honing in that this is the main hero that we want to put on a journey?
I'm not sure, to be honest. But I think there's elements that we can definitely bring, because the society, the dystopian setting that we're erecting in our movie is going to be one that has major psychological effects on its inhabitants. I was thinking of a scene where our characters in one of those tall buildings with hundreds of apartments, highly packed, one-person apartments, people working from home, still seeing the effects of that isolation. And when you're isolated all the time and you're just looking at yourself all the time, and I mean that's also what Blade Runner is. He just has that AI companion, this woman named Joy, just to make reveal, but he assigns love to her, and so there's elements of just isolation that are going to be inherent in any dystopian movie, especially one that is based on the trajectories that we see today.
Great. So,
well, it's funny because just today on Twitter Spaces there was Elon Musk and your boys Benjamin Netanyahu. Phoebe was in San Fran, and they were I didn't see the whole thing, but they were just talking about AI and how to, protect, how to enhance AI, how to get all the positive without what could be the negative. And it was this whole symposium on AI. Israel's big on AI, obviously Elon's big on AI, but in their intro to it, they were kind of musing over the Isaac Asimov, the AI, the science fiction writers of their day, like Asimov, who would write about these worlds where computers ruled the world, and it's holy shit, that's where we're going, and computers, and how do you, Elon was the computer is the smartest entity in the room, smarter than the smartest person can ever exist. Fuckery can happen.
So in the literally me, you're saying you're saying I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm hearing you say, keep me honest, you want to extract certain elements that we see in the literally me archetype. And
if they fit,
yeah.
the movie, yeah.
What kind of journey do you see that character going on? Whether it's a video game or a movie, what do you see? Quick couple of examples. Homer writes the Iliad as a young man about a young man, Achilles. He ain't disintegrating, he ain't broken. He's young and he's brash and he just knocks people on the head. And he's ruled by his emotions and his rage. And then by the end of the movie, he stops being godlike and starts being human and starts to feel compassion. The Odyssey, Homer writes as an older man, about an older man, Odysseus, who left for Troy to fight a war, fought for 10 years, and now it's time to go home. And this is a 10-year journey to get home. And that, in the Odyssey, as a more mature storyteller, it's not about a dude who just bashes people on the head. He's more of a god. It's a man going through the hero's journey, including going to the underworld, confronting his subconscious, integrating and coming home.
I think whatever it's gonna be,
Yeah.
the most powerful and moving movies are ones where the character realizes something about themselves and that creates just a sense of self. Like in my AP Lit class, we're reading a book where the final page, the character finally realizes like her life's mission. In Blade Runner, the main character finally realizes that he's not special. Like the whole movie is about you're rooting for this guy who's not a hero. Like he's not like basically the plot was there was a woman who somehow found a way to birth an AI replicant, birth another AI replicant, and he thought it was him the whole time.
That he was the kid?
That he was the kid because he had implanted memories of the actual kid. But at the end, you find out the father is reunited with the actual child. It's not him. He was never the guy. So it's like he's still just like everyone else, and at the end he just dies. That's the story. But it's so.
What's the reveal?
Was it anticlimactic at the end, or was that like, or was it climatic?
So,
like,
I mean, a conclusion is not, a good conclusion is not necessarily one that ties up all the loose ends. A good conclusion can be unclear.
Like American Psycho.
Exactly.
Like it's ambiguous. Was it all in his head?
right.
Right.
Or was it all really
Right.
happened?
Inception is also when
Yeah.
the final scene.
In my
So-
version, it was all real.
In what, American Psycho? Well, the bloggers agree with me.
Yeah.
That like the people who really dissect it, they go, no, it actually was real, and they defend that thesis. So let's do one more. So you did Blade Runner, you did American Psycho, Taxi Driver.
Joker.
Who's the other guy we keep going to? Joker.
The Joker and the Batman were ones that he mentioned that they were okay exams because they weren't the greatest. I kind of agree. The Joker and Batman movies were almost like trying too hard to do this, and that's where they failed.
As movies, I think the comic books were much more faithful to where you were going. What about Fight Club?
Fight Club, super, yeah.
What's the reveal? What did you said the character finds something out about himself? There are loose ends that aren't tied up, but the character discovers.
Well, the reveal is that this guy isn't real. This guy he sees is not real. I mean, and it was just him the whole time. Like, that's another thing. It's like it was with you the whole time. You had the key the whole time. You just didn't know it.
Power is within you.
So it's a Wizard of
Star
Oz.
Wars, everything.
Neo.
It was in your pocket the whole time.
Yeah.
That was the rabbi's drush.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna
Really
tell
give
you that.
a Dorothy.
It was, yeah, obviously you used a different example, but it was,
That inspired a lot of stuff. When
yeah,
I
I
was
was
young.
listening, I meant to mention that to you.
Great.
He was talking about,
He was talking about shame and isolation and like societal pressures and conforming to them, like a lot of the stuff that like we talk
He's
about.
writing. He should be writing.
Dude, I think we should have like an advisory council. This is so far, but like an advisory council of just super smart people, like the rabbi, maybe a psychologist, maybe a politician, I don't know, a writer, and that's like who we consult. Like that would be so great for our team.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So, any more remarks about the journey that he goes on, the phases to the journey? Working backward, there's a reveal that he discovers something about himself that was in his pocket the whole time. Working backward from there, are there any elements, either from existing storytelling or from your imagination, that you would like to see as phases of the journey? I think the last time we spoke, you said he architects the journey himself. So he's on a flume ride, but he is the architect of the flume.
I do like that idea. Maybe it's someone else architecting it for him and he doesn't know.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've been thinking about a lot of scenes like that, just random scenes popping up. Like one scene that's been revisiting a lot is, okay, imagine it's a dark night and a helicopter flies in and there's no one manning it. It's a self-flying flying helicopter.
Yep.
Drives in on this helipad, and the helipad is atop like a very technologically advanced building, like a corporate like monolith type thing. A man in a suit gets out with 2 bodyguards, and they walk in silence towards an elevator that brings them down to this long hallway, neon lit, almost like a synthwave theme, very futuristic, blah blah blah. At the end is a door, but this is like a brown like wooden door that you see in let's old style. So he walks to it. The bodyguards go on each side, just stern faces. He opens the door and walks in. There's a man who is like a shadowy figure. You cannot see his face, almost like the first scene of The Godfather. And there's like shelves and shelves of books. You don't see a lot of books during that time. There's like chairs, like leather or brown upholstered chairs.
It's not a digital room.
Lamplight.
Yeah.
It's very old style. It's like almost like a door to a new dimension. And he opens it. They have this meeting. They're talking about some like you can't really wrap your head around it. They're talking about some like prophecy or like a scheme or like a chosen one type thing. And then it's a black room, and that fades into a political rally of thousands of people in a stadium with a suited man, at the forefront. And basically, it's like this guy at the top, we have no idea who he is, but we know he has authority over this guy, who's like the spokesperson. And then there's a third character, which is going to be our character, and he is going to be the one almost mentored by this guy, and he gives him the mission, and he architects everything.
Yep. So he's the architect of the process.
Like literally the Neo hierarchy, the architect, all the way down to him. I think that was a really good.
You came up with that.
The last couple of days.
That's good.
It's just like I don't know.
That's
I
good.
Just picture.
Yeah. Well, that also answers all the questions from the literally me character type to what society he is facing and to the journey that he goes through.
And one last thing, there's a scene, and this is where we introduce the main character. He's in his normal apartment, tiny little apartment, and it's this is a society also where everything, all the government, state, local governments have just unfinished infrastructure projects. California's high-speed railway that never got finished. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of, you can just see they're under construction.
There's parts of the world you go to, in the Middle East and other, you'll see these half buildings that are half built. They have
But you know where you don't see that? India and China. They'll snap together a subway station in a week. They'll snap together a 9-story hospital in 3 weeks.
Right. But that just gives you such a disturbing feeling.
Yeah.
Looking at that, and it's decaying, and he lives in almost one of these buildings, but it's
How old is he? Roughly?
Between 20 and 30.
So he's a Patrick Bateman, or is he a?
I want to say the age of Joe.
And is he well-to-do or surviving?
So I think somewhere in the middle, just above surviving, because that's also showing the hierarchy and the socio-economic scheme of the guy at the top is super rich all the way down to this guy. He's a loser. What is he doing? But
what do we find him doing when we meet him?
So, he would be, living out his daily life, and you kind of get to see how people live during that time, the lower classes. And this is kind of separate from the other scene. This is a different, possible, path. But there's a woman who moves in, or he's just never seen before.
In the building?
In the building. She's attractive, but somehow she notices him. No one ever notices each other in this world. Everyone's just antisocial, don't even look at each other. Everyone's just getting food delivery and staying
They're
at
on their
home
screen.
with their AI girlfriends.
Yep.
No one looks at each other, but somehow this girl is different. And maybe he like somehow gets transformed. Like he almost like wakes up when he gets that like acknowledgement, or he starts this like romantic relationship with her. It could
But
go
if he's a
wrong.
loser, what makes her notice him? Much less, you know, what makes her get inclined to a romantic association, much less even notice?
So maybe he like trips and falls, and she helps him up. Something very small, but
Okay.
he takes it as this like crazy thing, so
Yeah.
fantasizing
Yeah.
and all that shit, and like he just represents like the outcome, like the trajectory of like people. That
Is her presence in the story part of the architecture created by the other dude, or is that not? Is that outside of it?
And I think another thing is the problem with these like literally meme movies is the main character is just from like the first scene, you know he's the main character. Like there's no question this guy is gonna be the main character. I think we should make it a little more like you're trying to find it. Like you're latching on to is this guy? Maybe it's this guy. Oh, but it's probably this guy. And then he was just there the whole time. Something like that too.
Could she be like the receptionist or something? Like some like
Like a Bill Clinton kind of thing.
yeah, I
Say
wasn't
Bill
good. I wasn't.
I'm not following.
Well, I said she could be the
Oh, like
receptionist.
the answer?
Yeah. I wasn't going there. I was going, but it could be. But I mean, like I was just going that she works.
Oh, that's her. Wasn't that Taxi Driver where Sybil Shepherd worked in the office of a politician who was campaigning? His name's Travis.
Yeah, something like that.
He's a taxi driver and he just sees her and then he asks her out. I think he takes her to a porn movie or something.
Right. But that's all just attraction. Like she didn't like notice him or something.
Did she ever acknowledge him in any part of the movie?
I don't
Did
think she
she
probably
ever give
did,
him-
but I don't think that was the portion of his feelings. It was just by sight.
And in American Psycho, he gets the only acknowledgement from women. But because he doesn't acknowledge himself, he can't receive what women and others in the world are trying to give him.
Also, the homeless man, like, homeless people are very powerful symbol. Like, I think that should come up in the movie. Like, somehow a homeless man should be involved in their life.
Right?
Alright.
Like trading places.
Yeah,
Trading
exactly.
places, Diogenes. Diogenes lived like a homeless guy. Socrates walked around in rags. American Psycho, he kills a homeless guy, right? So did we hit all of the literally me? So he did Taxi Driver, American Psycho, Fight Club.
He did
Blade
another
Runner?
movie with this guy I've never heard of.
Oh yeah, you know that. So I never heard of the movie or the guy, right? But what I really was drawn to was the way the actor depicting the character spoke his lines. He worked really hard. So if you ever are you familiar with the geography from Buffalo, New York, upstate New York, moving west from Buffalo to Cleveland, Michigan, it's like they talk a certain way. I don't know if you know this accent, but that guy nailed that freaking accent. Like nailed, and he had a great resonance in his voice, or like a reverb in his voice. So you're like Ryan Gosling can do that too. Where they say Ryan Gosling had this. He's from Canada, but he grew up in Florida, so he has this aimless accent. So he worked hard to grab Brando and other elements to be a very captivating speaker when he does his lines. This guy nailed that. He talked the way they talk in Buffalo, and he had that hardened. The winters are hell, so you get hard. He had all of that going on, and you're just like, and he's broken. That guy over there at the stoplight, he's got a series on YouTube. We'll get him to interview us. Maybe we'll put him in the project.
Wait, sorry?
This guy right here.
He has a series on what?
YouTube.
About what?
it starts with fitness, but he's expanded beyond that too. He'll interview people about various other things.
Okay.
Like he's got a pretty good thing going.
Yeah.
So we did. So this guy from Buffalo, he was fresh out of prison, but he has to put on an act. He goes and grabs that girl to create a story that he has love in his life, whereas his own family rejects him, and the girl he's always had a crush on rejects him. That was a very interesting guy. So this guy's name is Kino, the guy who puts the series together, the Literally Me.
Oh, I just saw. I don't even watch the channel.
Because he said, I've got all these others.
Yeah.
So did we do all the ones? Did he talk about any? He talked about Fight Club. He
Talked
did
about the Batman briefly.
Batman and Joker a little bit, but he didn't do Matrix. And Neo isn't that guy. Neo is not broken and disintegrated.
He also said the wait, no. It was like one with the guy who was in The Shining.
Oh,
He just also mentioned that like 1980s like films were always like this or something. Like they always had literally movie characters. Did you guys catch that part?
Mad Max. Like I don't know anything about movies in the past 20 years. Just don't know. Did you see it? No, I didn't. So, but starting in the mid-late 70s through the 80s, and then you get in the 90s was this dip. It was all about anti-heroes, not in this archetype either. Like just a dude who's never going to put it together. But Fight Club, Matrix, and American Psycho all come out in 99 and 2000. So 80s leading guy was. I think like mental health people find it very amusing because you're watching a fly trapped in a fly bar. The whole Dorothy, it was you. They don't get it. That they're taking all of their rage and frustration and search, and they're projecting it out against the world that encounters them. When the real task is to turn all of that capital inside, and you direct it at yourself, and you overcome yourself, and then you integrate. I don't know if I believe anything that I've said in the past 20 minutes. These are just different perspectives.
Yeah.
But what I will say about the dude that you're talking about, sexy, interesting, sex, like, they're brooding. They got this jaw, they got this look in their eye. They're, a little lost. There's so much in them that can come out. And so you start cheering them on, especially in the face of the horse shit outside. I mean, a movie about an integrated, happy guy would be boring. It wouldn't be a so much to do. It's well adjusted. And he comes home from work. He's an accountant. He comes home from work. He hugs his kids, and he's happy. That's not a movie. Like, we're trying to tell a story.
Right.
So,
but I also don't want to make like his silence like the absence of like good writing, because I feel that for some of these movies they make the Literally Me characters because they do not have a good writer.
the genius of American Psycho was he was a pretty silent guy, always just kind of looking around, but he narrates.
Right.
And the narration was. Now, American Psycho is based on a book, but the script was written by two women, and one of those women directed the movie, and the other one was in. So, really good.
So it's Fight Club based on.
Fight Club based on a book. Again, narrated. So you have that. Again, you could have Ed Norton and Tyler Durden. Just the genius of the writing there was you had a narrator and you had Tyler just spewing perspective and philosophy. That to a guy who's between 17 and 32, everything Tyler Durden makes enormous sense. I don't know. born yet? Yeah, you weren't born yet, right? So my mind's getting fucked up understanding this, but there were dudes in 2002 and 2004. You would meet them, and they're like, "I'm Tyler Durden." Like, in Santa Monica. I met a guy in the gym. I'm Tyler Durden. I would meet girls, and I'd say, "Who are your top 3 role models?" And they would name Tyler Durden as one of them. Like, he was a hero, and movies can do this. A white T-shirt used to be an undershirt. You wear it under a suit. Brando in the 50s comes out of an undershirt. Every dude starts wearing white T-shirts, right? So movies can shape a generation. Brando did it in the 50s. In the 50s, you ever see Grease?
Yeah.
Everyone was like that, and that movie and that Broadway show Grease was based on a movie by Brando called The Wild Ones. So one guy coming out one way in the 50s set the way every dude was gonna dress and behave for 10 years. Tyler did that for a solid, he had a grip for 10 years on it.
That's pretty impressive to think about impact on just culture, impact on society. Like one character, talking about a success criteria. If our character has that impact on people that dressing like him, talking like him, behaving like him, that's a pretty cool success criteria. Okay. Well, that's great. I think, there's a lot we can do with that.
And I'm gonna continue to write. Sorry.
No, their thing. Every 10 minutes, they start, making, grinding up something in there.
Oh, I thought that was the door. Like the doors. So
I think it's they have a
blender.
blender.
Or a juice.
whatever. All right, you guys ready to move on?
Action.
Very good discussion. Okay. Next up, I'd say time for let's discuss the change control. So you introduced it at first. I want to know what you got.
So you look at the behavior of an organization. It could be a company, startup, big giant Fortune 500. It could be the military. It could be government, nonprofit.
Yeah.
This gym, and the leadership inevitably tends to zig and zag and zig and zag, and they go nowhere. And that's why that's why these things are forever getting built and not finished. Right? That's the world we live in. We live in not in China, not in India. They ready, aim, shoot. We live in a ready, shoot, aim. Europe and North America. So the elite, the 1%, don't do that. It's ready, aim, set the intention. Set your outcome before you start, set your success criteria to measure it, and then write your plan and execute against it. That's Apple, at least under Steve Jobs. That's Facebook. That's Google. That's the achievers. Afghanistan, Iraq, 20 years, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. No result. There never was a goal, right? So when you do forensics, well, why is it that 99% of startups and big companies are zigging and zagging and they're forever finishing a project? It's because the leadership won't commit to a goal and stick to it. And the goal never changes. You may change your approach. So change control is a wonderful possibility to have in your back pocket, so you can strike a medium between the two extremes of rigidity and pivot, fluidity. Nothing gets done. Like rigidity, you're not going to get far in life with rigidity, right? The strongest wood in the world is bamboo. It bends, it doesn't break, and it's hollow in the middle. So rigidity is just as perilous as pivot, change, and you go nowhere. So change control is one of the ways to get to that happy medium, where leadership sets a goal and a way to get there, and then one personality sees an opportunity to make a change. They believe it's either a better goal, we should change the goal, or it's a better way to achieve the existing goal. And so it's a disciplined process to introduce a formal amendment to the process and goal that everyone has agreed to before. I am not the biggest fan of change control, even though I'm the one who proposed change control, because I feel just like the Monday and the base camp, and these start to become their own bureaucracy. The tool becomes a goal. However, I'm watching us and I'm loving this. I'm loving our journey. This conversation is, other than training or sleeping, this is all I'd rather be doing. There's 3 or 4 times that we have looked at each other and set something, either as a vision, a goal, or a way to get there, and a change has been introduced. And I'm not bitching, I'm just observing. And tell me if this perspective is misplaced, and rehabilitate my perspective. One was, now, there's nothing to, there's no tone here, and I love this all. I'll just give 2 or 3 examples that I think I can remember, and please help me. One is, okay, Judah's gonna come in and work for free. And then we quickly came to a, no he's not. He's gotta get a piece of this. Whether it's back end or if there's money, Judah should not be working for free. I don't know which of us came to that, and I signed up to it right away. Maybe I'm the one who came up with it. I know I wrote it. But that's a change. Like, don't look now, but you can't do that to a group of lesbians. Like, it's okay. It's a better idea, I think, that you make money than if you work for free. I don't think anyone should ever work for free. So it's a better idea, but that's not the point. The point is, suddenly we change the goalposts in the middle of the game, which establishes a precedent for mental laziness where, oh, well, we could just change the goalposts again. You just allow it, right? So we want to be sort of disciplined with each other and say, okay, I see what you're doing over there. That's a change. It's actually a good change. And we should have done that from the beginning. But let's move through, let's without getting bureaucratic, there's a record that's been established. Future audiences are the most important audience of our conversation. Not like you write notes or you write a slideshow, someone's gonna read that in 5 years. Like, they're watching us now, and we wanna look sharp and buttoned up. So they're gonna go, oh, so this week Judah's coming in working for free, and that week he's making money. And this is one of those roads that never gets. But this is a high-speed rail project. Just a couple other examples. One might be, hey, we're going to do a video game, which I love. Once again, change control is the way to find our consensus to the change. There were 2 others. There were 2 others that have popped up, and I'm not remembering them right now.
There was something else, I can't remember.
But these are like big, and so I love the conversation. I love where we were. I love the proposed change. We are going to be a high-speed rail project if we don't find a way to channel that energy and move it through disciplined steps. It's probably a lot like boxing. Like, you can just flail around, or you can just, I don't know boxing.
I'm actually really happy that you're saying this, because I feel the same exact way.
Now, change control doesn't have to be the way that we find that discipline. There are other ways to get there. And I'm not a fan of change control. I'll say that for the 3rd time. Like, I think change control makes me cringe, and yet I'm the one who proposed it.
Why?
Because it's bureaucratic. Because it gets bureaucratic in a hot minute, just like Monday or baseball. It's like, I don't know if you remember from some of our clients.
Well, so our heritage is working with Fortune 500 companies, right? And in the Fortune 500 space, we would introduce a process. Sometimes the client already had a process, sometimes we'd introduce a process. And it would be to a strategy to achieve an objective, whatever their goal or station. hundreds. And they all have their infighting anyhow going on because it's very political and this and that. And one of the mechanisms that they use to make a change is change control. And at some of these companies, instead of it just being a seldom used tool to, you know, propose, proffer, maybe like you said, a better objective or a better way to achieve that objective, it would become the objective in itself would be the change control. Like
They had a change control office.
yeah.
With like 5 people working full time on change control for all the projects. So the objective was always the same in our projects. Spend less than you're spending now, get more than you're getting now for what you spend money on, and focus back to your core competency. If you make jeans, focus on pants. If you're making cars, focus on cars. Because when you have technology and marketing, you start to forget what you're there to make. It's simple. Those are our objectives. And we had measurements. Right? We put them on a process to get there. The process is usually 18 months. As Gil observes, here comes the change management office. It's like a post office. It's like a high-speed rail project. They're just there. So,
And what happens is that interviews now, I believe we're 3 very sharp lesbians here who want through our discipline and aren't here to the exact we're here for. But in some of these clients, who they're just getting a paycheck, whether they work hard, now it's like working for the government, some of these companies. And it allows for laziness because they know that. So instead of having a rigor, putting some rigor to making sure that your objective is the right sound objective, the strategy is the right sound objective. Well, if you know you can change it anytime you want, you just go to the change control office and you introduce a change, then you don't have to put in
right, you don't have
rigor
to
to
do the
begin
hard
with to make sure that you have the right objective and the right strategy to achieve that.
So
change control later.
Wait, so change control is bad?
yes. So the way that I used to do my projects, because I'm basically retired for a long time now, is certainly from that shit, is work very diligently and rigorously at the inception and the formative stages to set very clearly what is our mission, what is our objective. Those are 2 different things. A mission is vague, an objective is measurable. And what is the strategy to achieve that objective? And it's steps, it's a process. And work diligently and rigorously with all departments to go and present the mission, the objectives, and the process, the strategy to get their consensus, their support. And they have a chance to make changes at the beginning. Like we show them the next 18 months and what it's going to produce. And we want to know now what their concerns are. We want to incorporate their concerns by tailoring the process accordingly before we start, so that when we finish, no one bitches. Because the high-speed rail projects and all that, if they do finish, which they don't, someone's always bitching internally. So I was on the continuum from rigidity to fluidity and pivoting, and you're never going anywhere, you're just going in a circle, always changing. I was extreme. I was very rigid. I was a Nazi. And I had a reputation for being that way. But guess what? We would finish. We would hit our goals. We would celebrate. We did it so well that often you didn't notice it was done. We're like preventive medicine. So for us, my preference to change control is before we start, we take a few sessions and we carefully curate our mission, our objective. Is it a video game? Is it a movie? What is it? And our process to get there. And then we fucking stick to it. And like we enforce each other on it. And then once in a blue moon, I think we just had a blue moon on August 31st. So like maybe once every 3 years, we make a change. Like, there's a new AI out there. It's changed things for us. But like I'm not a fan of changes. Like also, it's not good for your mental health. right?
I'm a little bit less rigid than Mark, just personality-wise. I'm less rigid. I also know that this comes across as an excuse, but I don't want it to be. It's like sometimes in the world of startups, you don't know what you don't know, and there might be a little bit of room for changing at least a strategy. Like the objectives are the same, but sometimes a strategy if you don't know what you don't know, or if you're doing something new or something for the first time, that there could be like unknown unknowns that like, oh shit, you know, I just anticipate this. You may want to change, you know, make this change here. So I'm not quite as rigid, but I understand. Like, and it's certainly in the world that we inhabited before, Fortune 500, we almost had to be rigid, otherwise nothing would ever get done.
Well, statistically, certainly in Fortune 500 and government, 99% of projects fail. They just fail. What do I mean by that? Is they set out to do something and they didn't finish on time, or they didn't finish on budget, or they didn't produce the toy they were supposed to. That's 99%. The 1% finish on time or early, on budget or under budget, and it's the toy you expected or it's better than you expected. And the way to get there is discipline. Stick to what you said. Don't let your emotions rule you. Don't let the chatter rule you. Stay laser focused. And it also is, as I was going to say, it's not a healthy place to be with a group that's doing this, and the next week it's that, and they don't even notice. If you want to know what water is, don't ask a fish. If you want to know what zigzagging is, don't ever go to a group in government or Fortune 500 companies or startups and go, so you know you guys zigzag a lot. They'll be like, huh? What's a zigzag? It's like, oh shit. Like they don't even know.
I think a great way to implement change control in our project is if we ratify documents that outline exactly what we want to do. I think that we should find a middle ground between that kind of rigidity of like every 3 years doing a change versus like you don't know what you don't know type of thing. You know, we can make a timeline or a duration of time that we think would be appropriate. But I think we should start out with an up-to-date business plan.
Sure.
I think that's
Although, however, it seems to me that what we're doing is Web3, which is tokenization and DAOs, which is a mutation, a new animal on the planet that is beyond the animal of a business. So, if we start characterizing ourselves as a business or using documents called business plans, we're now regressing back to Web 2 and the economic model that exists. And Web 3 has outgrown that. So we might change the name of the document.
okay.
A charter,
Kind of like what
white
we did
paper,
when I said,
Constitution.
any of those. This is
What's
from
that?
I
Drive.
like this song.
This is from Drive, right?
Drive.
Yeah.
so like remember I sent you our orange paper? In the industry they called it a white paper. We're like, that doesn't make sense. Orange paper. But it's kind of the same concept.
To where you're both going, I think we should have a name for the document that no one's ever used, because it's not a business, and it's sort of a charter, it's sort of a constitution. The reason they called it a constitution was constitution comes from medicine. It's your health. It's the health of your the constitution of your body. And that document was an act of mutiny against the Articles of Confederation. They were like, hey, we'll call it a constitution. Everyone's like, hey, interesting name for this document, but yeah, let's sign
Is
it.
that the first time for the document with the Constitution?
The United States Constitution is the first constitution in history. And since then, there are 180 constitutions. So we're not a very new country. France and Morocco and Holland are hundreds of years old. We're 200 years old. But we have the first constitution. Everyone mimics it. The Constitution was written in 1787. The Bill of Rights,
that just unleashed a huge beast. Our paper is going to be Web3. We can act as like the founding fathers of the Constitution. Our orange paper sets the precedent for hundreds, thousands of startups in the future. So that puts a huge emphasis on this paper, a massive emphasis.
It's everything.
We write this literally like it's the Constitution. We're building a country. So I think that should be at least one of the top 5 things or top 3 action items going forward until it's done.
100%. It's a DAO, right? There's a lot of folks out there launching DAOs. And a year from now, Bitcoin's going to look like this. And for the next year and a half, so when you're a freshman and a sophomore, everyone's going to be into crypto again. And the big thing will be DAOs. If NFTs was the big thing last time, we'll be DAOs this time. None of them are DAOs. You can call yourself a dog, but if you're a cat with whiskers, you're a cat. So we have an opportunity to set the standard.
Perfect. I think that's good. Alright, do you guys want to discuss the video game slideshow?
Let's do it. So we did games. Are you, you're checking the...
I am.
Okay, good, perfect.
So far we're doing okay.
You know there's a, speaking of Web3, there's a Web3 like happy hour event going on next door.
Right now?
At 6 o'clock, 6 to 9.
Oh,
we
Web3
going?
happy hour.
Like it's a blockchain.
Like networking.
Networking.
Like you'll meet a bunch of people like us next door, like little startups, and they're doing their thing. And they're
So you're talking about
I mean, I'm under 21, though. I gotta be.
It's a restaurant.
Oh, we'll see how
I'll
we'll
be
walk
your,
by
your
there.
guardian. You're in good hands.
I won't. Blind leading with me.
Actually, I'm hungry, so maybe we'll eat a piece of damn good bread.
See how.
Alright.
Are we doing good in this meeting? Are we?
I think this is really great. I mean, that changed a lot because I have, had concerns that, we're kind of just zigzagging. And we need a cement floor, to jump off of. We need that, orange paper to just, do everything together.
So maybe the action is everyone do some thinking on what name we would have for this document. Not a constitution, not a charter, not a white paper, not a business. Invent a word that has never been used because this is a document that has never been written. And then now your mind's expansive. You're not you let go of preconceptions and prejudices, and you're free to invent the future in the best way.
Like a constipation.
I think that's perfect.
Soul. Resolution.
Alright, so, video game.
Yeah.
I can start by presenting this. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna.
if it's easier for you to read or listen.
Well, I'll do a little bit.
I read it and I love it, and I'm in surrender to how you want to run the next 20.
Hold up while you're talking. So it was a little hard to read, but
There's a lot of stuff.
It was dense, but every molecule was nourished. It wasn't rambling. It was very tight. It was also extremely well written. Back to my point of in 5 years, everyone's like a scam and all. In 5 years, someone's gonna read that.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah, read it. Knock yourself out.
This is actually a big moment. It's a massive moment.
This thing got a lot of love. I don't know if you worked on it alone or you consulted with people for ideas, but your language was very tight, your concepts were powerful, it was persuasive, and it didn't ramble.
I actually worked on this alone, so I appreciate that.
You what? Worked on it alone?
Yeah.
That's all you. Amazing.
Alright. So, video game versus movie. So, let's start with the question, why are we making movies specifically? There's a lot of other, mediums of video. So why not a video game? So here's a quick Venn diagram of video games. So a video game. Our fungible tokens, oh my god, that sounds so boring. Our fungible tokens can be used for in-game purchases, skins, equipment, etc., which is often found in video games. Have you guys ever played a video game before, by the way?
What's that, Call of Duty or something? Halo? I mean, 20 years ago, I did a first-person lesbian something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, video games.
You're talking to two guys who have zero knowledge of games, except that as crypto guys, Web3 guys, we understand that there's different categories of tokens in crypto. And one of the booming ones, one of the strongest ones is and will be gaming. What you just said.
One of the projects that we did previously, the developer of that project is now, I mean, his heritage is a video games company, video game development, and they are working on a slew of video games, and they're also working on doing stuff in video games. So, we haven't been in contact with them recently, but it's we're familiar.
Another reason that we attach to gaming through the Web3 path is the number 2 coin for years now is Ether from Ethereum. And the inspiration for the creation of Ethereum by Vitalik Buterin was this is before the early days of Bitcoin, let's say. He was a teenager who was a big-time gamer, and a game you would know. And he had invested years of money, years of time, years of devotion and emotion into his game and his character, his whatever avatar. And the game stripped him of everything. I don't know if it was the game itself or it got hacked, but someone who wasn't him seized and divested him of that whole buildup for years. And he's like, fuck this, I want to create a platform that's decentralized where that can't happen. And he noticed that with Bitcoin, the anthem of Bitcoin was, your wealth is unseizable if you hold it through the Bitcoin distributed network and ledger as a Bitcoin digital asset. He said, so I'm going to create a platform where universally anyone can come and create anything from a video game to a business, and those assets and that investment are unseizable.
Wow. That's
All from a video game.
Well, I have like about 450 hours of Destiny 2, probably hundreds of hours of Minecraft, Call of Duty, Cyberpunk.
Can I ask, without being nosy,
Yeah.
how much money have you put into those hours of those games?
$500.
500.
Yeah. Between games and DLCs and probably.
So time, money, emotion.
Yeah.
Like it's
What are the top 3 ways you spend money?
DLCs. So those are. I do not know what the acronym is, but it's like an expansion pack. Like with Destiny 2, they had DLCs of like different campaigns. So each pack, each DLC had a storyline, and it would be a different campaign, and you'd get different weapons and have access to different things. Other way is.
Did you have to buy the weapons? Or you have to buy the next part of the path?
So buying the pack gives you access to a new campaign, new weapons, new worlds, new open worlds, like a lot of things.
And your character, am I using that right? Your avatar is a bit portable.
Yeah. Very important, yeah.
And do you buy like face cream or makeup or
So in
clothes?
Destiny 2, there is, I mentioned it in the links, but people are obsessed with fashion. It's a game very much about accessories, so armor and guns. And getting armor and like they have a whole system where you can edit the color. There's certain types of armors with certain tiers that make them look cooler or not as cool. We have ornaments to put on.
Who are you showing that to?
So you as a character is displayed in the world in the game, but also people post it online. Like this Reddit forum that I posted just on Destiny 2 fashion has I think 200,000 members.
So they're seeing.
Yeah, and you can like flaunt it, everything people have. It also shows.
Are they NFTs? Or are they...
Sorry, it also
they will
shows achievements in the game. Like if you have this armor, you can only get it from completing an extremely difficult mission. Oh my god, I love this game so much. Destiny 2 is great.
Destiny 2, is it future laser gun stuff?
Everything. It takes a certain type of person and a certain context. It was over COVID.
Yeah.
I was just obsessed.
Okay. Are you still as much?
No, I don't play video games right now.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, but I know I still got that. The other way is loot boxes. So loot boxes. Loot. Yeah.
LOT.
Right. CS:GO. There's actually I wanted to say 4 ways. CS:GO has a loot box system where you buy a loot box for like a couple bucks, but then the key for it to open it is $20. When you put 2 and 2, 1 and 1 together, it's a lottery that gives you like an item. It could be a knife, it could be a gun skin, it could be a character skin, but these items cost real money. Like there's this one skin for an op, that's the name of the sniper in the game, that's $20,000 and people buy it and sell it.
Oh, you could sell this stuff.
Oh yeah. There's
You were saying, you were observing in the presentation that there's a whole economy.
Massive. And like people make livings off these places. There's literally price fluctuations and stuff, supply and demand.
Okay.
It's
That's where that fits.
yeah. Third way, buying video games, like sales. Video games are like $70 a piece usually. $70 when it first comes out.
These are console games?
PC Master Race. I don't know if you guys
And
saw
they can't be copied. Yeah,
I saw you.
that was awesome. That's hard not
It's
to.
a thing.
It's hard not to forget that. Is it hard to copy them and give it to your friends?
You can't copy it. There's no way to
Software won't let you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no way to do it. The fourth way is in-game currency. I know a lot more people who have spent a lot more on things like Robux and Roblox and V-Bucks and Fortnite, but I've spent tons on like Silver and Destiny 2, and that can buy you merch, real merch. It can buy you virtual items for just fashion, all sorts of things, and it's not pay to win. People really hate
Right. So you can buy stuff with dollars and get that stuff, or you can buy currency with dollars and get that currency get other stuff.
Yeah, and strictly cosmetic. Like COD, you cannot buy like a gun that's like better than everyone else.
So we learned that through Web3. We learned that about video games. The one thing you can't buy is capability. And when you buy flexing and you buy skins and you buy non-performance output driven assets, you can sell them.
Yes. Okay, so let's move down to this. Our non-fungible tokens can work seamlessly because it is already a massive market for virtual currency and assets in video games. Overall, blockchain is more smoothly compatible with video games. Our action sci-fi movie plot would be very fun to play as the main character. I think it would be more exciting to experience the story yourself rather than watch it unfold on the screen.
I agree.
Many video games are 3D rendered and can therefore be edited with ease as the community proffers thought leadership.
What do you mean by render?
So, people usually build video games in engines. Unreal Engine is a big one. The Blender. These are softwares that you make 3D objects in, that you render 3D objects in, as the setting for your video game. So your character models, your Cyberpunk was all made on like this thing like that. Every game is. And so if we have, a 3D rendered thing, a movie will be real life, but this will be 3D rendered. And a community member is like, what if we changed, that little part? It would be so easy to just crop out. You can't do that. Video games offer more hours of entertainment and thus good rerun value. The community may proffer better thought leadership because video games are more engaging. Many gamers are crypto sapiens and vice versa. Video games complement their interest in tech, and like you said, there's some compatibility. People already band together to give their thoughts on video games through subreddits, discords, and other forums. The video game industry is growing quickly, aided by the metaverse. It is less old-fashioned and more innovative. It appeals to a younger audience, which is a critical demographic in bringing about Web3. In general, the community involved in video games, including metaverse supporters, developers, techies, sci-fi lovers, and those familiar with using online social platforms, are much more up our alley in terms of our audience and who our community will look like, our customer segmentation. Many don't have the attention span nor time to sit through a whole 90-minute movie, but they do to play a video game for however long they want. I find this just anecdotally. My friends are like, yeah, I love movies, I love watching them, but I just don't have the time or the attention span. And so he has a mobile game in place. Many different revenue streams, including subscriptions, DLC, season passes, sales, in-game purchases, virtual currency, loot boxes, and ads. Video games gross far more than movies. That's just a statistic I saw. I think it was 8 times more.
Yep.
Many video games already have a community backend with feedback forums, which reveals a market for our competitive tokenized version to penetrate. I personally feel much more confident about video games, and I have much more knowledge on them too.
So, just my 2 cents,
Yeah.
thinking out loud, whatever. I love everything you said. I don't have any. We are in this kind of generational gap between video game users and movie fans. The only thing I would say is, I don't think, and by the way, the two aren't mutually exclusive, obviously. Yeah, we could come to a resolution on how we want to focus on where we will incorporate game, right? How it might prioritize. But I would say that there's a huge subset of movie people who probably aren't into games, and there are less people into games who aren't into movies. Like you made that last remark, they don't have the attention span, but my anecdotal evidence is people over 30 would gravitate to a movie less so than a game. People under 30 gravitate to a game rather than a movie. But the people who gravitate to the game would be inclined to watch a good movie. Whereas if you're not into video games, you're less inclined to try the movie. Does that make sense? Like there's this talking about rigidity. As the more older you get on the spectrum, the more rigid. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. Like, I mean, it means everything you said in this left slide is like I think there's money to it. I think there's engagement to it. I do think we would be alienating a big chunk of the population over 30 who aren't into games. Whereas a movie doesn't necessarily alienate big people into games. But what do I do with that? And I don't think that's just a perspective off the top of my head. But I'm also a little, I cannot be biased being that kind of come at it as like neutral as possible, because our objective is, you know, ultimately we'll set an objective. Like, figure this out. But you know, adoption, evangelization, you know, Bitcoin centric, whether it goes through a movie. Ultimately, if we from my perspective, a game is something that's almost been in our kind of collective roadmap. Like, this is beautifully. We just thought it would come after a movie.
Right.
But I'm not in theory opposed to swapping those, doing them together, like, you know, having this conversation and seeing what makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just kind of off the top of my head. When I saw the movie idea, and I think Arnie gave me coming attraction was when at the rabbi's house, he's like, talking about the game idea, and I'm like, nah, but
Yeah.
like, so I you know, but I didn't know anything more than that. So I mean, I think game is a great idea to incorporate in our process, whether it's, you know, however we order it, whether they go parallel, whether we start with one, go the other, with the other, but there's no question that gaming could be a great component to what we're doing.
So I actually want to rebuttal my own argument. I mean, I've put in a lot of thought, like, after writing this, and I'm like, okay, on paper, video games are obviously the better choice, but a movie can be so much more powerful. Like, from playing video games, it's fun. Like, you get the excitement. That's not where you get meaning, and that's not what life is really about.
The impression isn't as powerful.
It's insane. With a movie, you know, if we make it right, oh my, it would be 100,000 times more powerful than a video. And like,
Movies will, I think, maybe what you're saying, stand the test of time. Like the
video games are like this. I know.
Yeah. And the classics that we've been talking about in movies, like we're still talking about movies for 20, 30, 40 years. Right. Even you talk about movies that were made well before. So that just reinforces.
And like, but I think what this really raises though is that we should be using the video game model for our movie, like using like how like these video game companies have like forums and stuff where they are releasing information. Like we can kind of copy, we can bring the video game stuff to elements to our movie.
Yeah.
That would be the main purpose, I think. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'll listen to what
I think we gotta let it marinate, come to a resolution in like 72 hours. This is a great place to air it all out. On paper, to plagiarize you, the smart move is to make a game. There's tons more money. The cyber sapient and crypto, they're all into games. To make a video game that is tokenized, not the smartest move because there's a ton of them already. Axie Infinity, Gala, I couldn't rattle off all of the projects in Web3 that are tokenized video games already. So everything, all your points, they get it, they're doing it, and they will be out in droves in the next year or two, just in time for that bull market. A video game about Satoshi is smart, just like a movie about Satoshi. It's the Dario. You haven't met Dario. He's big in this DAO. Everyone in this DAO is big, but he shows up every day. Hates video games. Doesn't even want to have the conversation. Thinks movies are better. Doesn't understand why video games would be successful. And has said in no uncertain terms that all the statistics about video games making more money than movies. He doesn't believe it. He doesn't even believe a video game can make money. I don't agree, and I've told him my perspective on how I believe video games make 8 times more money and that they make money all these different ways. But within a DAO, if Dario wants to go make Satoshi and you want to make a video game, that's beautiful. Those are actually now two DAOs under a DAO, an umbrella of Satoshi's DAO. So it's a Lord of Lord Mother DAO with its own token. And there's a tokenized movie and tokenized video game. If we go on that double stream from October of this year to October of next year, where the bull market's taking off, we're unstoppable. I don't know if we have the tank, the stamina, the focus to do two. If I had to pick, my logical brain says you do the video game. My change control brain says, here we go making another change. Now this is 5 years of searching for Satoshi as an idea. And we've worked with 50 different people in the past 5 years on this project. It's always choo, 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 choo. And I'm trying to have it as a DAO and not be the big boss here. So 72 hours from now, I think we should have a resolution. But it's very productive and intelligent to go through what you put together, present it, formally bat around the different perspectives and ideas, and then go let it marinate. And maybe by Friday we're like,
and something that you said, that maybe there's a way we can incorporate a lot of these components into our film process, where it is more possible. Like, we've thought of a few ways that the Web3 version, the tokenized filmmaking process is already introducing revenue streams that Hollywood 1.0 doesn't have, or Hollywood 2.0. And advertising, like, all these people are tunneling in, watching us, watching our sessions, our creative sessions, or when we're actually filming, advertising money for them. Or maybe there's, and we have a token model like in-game currency, with tokens. Maybe there's other things we can incorporate that we haven't thought of. And maybe once we get to a critical juncture, if we so choose, like, I don't want to prejudge, like, we can, I'm going to guess that making a movie is a longer process than making a video game, instead of platforms for making video games. So maybe, you launch one, get it to a critical point, and then you introduce the game before the movie's even released.
if a genie in a bottle were to give me infinite wishes all to come true, I'd say, let's do both at the same time. Let's launch a game, let's launch a movie. They each have their own process. People in the DAO can attach to one or both, and we just propel. To me, it's a resource question.
Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work. It just simply, we wouldn't have the resources.
Well, it's to me, when things come at me, I don't ask what's the problem, I ask what seems to be the problem. And I never accept the limitation. It's not a question of we don't have the resources, it's a question of, well, let's go get the resources, right? In World War II, there was Germany and there was Japan. And it wasn't like, well, we gotta pick one. You can't cross the Atlantic and win a war, and cross the Pacific and win a war. You gotta pick one. It's like, well, we kind of did both. Now it was sequential. First Europe, then Japan. So it's a resource issue where if the will to do it is there, we can't do both.
I think I'm grateful that you raised that issue, and I think it's a great thing. It's a great problem to have. We do one, the other, do both. I mean, it's not a bad fucking problem.
Yeah.
If you want to work backward and go, well, which one would the sapiens come to more powerful? Because we are here to, with the Satoshi, they come to the video game more than to the movie. As a DAO that's building it.
Because they're also they like video games, and there's also the movie's reputation is more be tainted by like current events, like filmmakers
You mean the strike and all that?
strikes.
My only counter to that is, again, I think there are are sapiens older than 30. Not every sapien is demographically. And they're more likely to be now alienated by a game. And yet, the guys under 30, if it's a good enough game, a good enough movie, they'll have the attention.
But will they come to help build it?
That's the question.
I think.
So there's a game being built. There's a movie being built. Garden variety crypto sapien learns of the game, and he's like, I want to get involved in the building. I want a token right now. I want voice. I want profits. I want it all.
It would be the video game for me all the way.
There's like it's this kind of a difference.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, for him, it is.
But are sapiens more like you or more like?
I think there's a cohort. There's certainly a lot. This is
I
what I'm
think
getting-
this
well,
is a
well,
typical sapien.
of the non-Bitcoin sapiens. People who are Bitcoin-centric sapiens.
There's not the many Bitcoin essentially. Most sapiens are about many coins. They're not maxis. So if it is the case that most sapiens are not Bitcoin maxis, and most sapiens are more like Judah's demographic than yours.
I mean,
Also, which demographic do we want to target? The older people or the younger?
We want them all. I don't want to target subsets of the sapiens. I want all this. The brilliance of Satoshi Nakamoto is I don't have to pick.
Right.
The Cardano people aren't going to be like, oh, no. We don't. They all love Satoshi. So we want to find that same capture, whether it's a game or a movie. They're all coming, and they're not waiting for the movie to come out. They're not waiting for the video game to finish. They want to come in. They want to be at the next meeting on our Twitch or Discord or whatever.
It's such a dilemma thinking about how the fuck we are going to tokenize it. Like, I really struggle to wrap my head around. Like, you know, we have like the business plan and disaster stuff, but there's a lot of little weeds and stuff.
Give me
that
some
we don't
examples.
get.
Give me your top 3 reasons why you don't see how we can tokenize it. And the hints might be on the left circle where you're like, gaming and tokens go together like chocolate and peanut butter. Blah, 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 blah. And you might just say to me, well, see that one right there? That is the case with gaming, but not with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the main thing is, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's an existing market. We know there's an existing market. And
Your observation is it's already essentially being like games are already essentially a tokenized entity, even if it's not.
look,
There could
I
be.
mean, also you said, you know, there's going to be tokenized games. Yes, but is there going to be a tokenized game, like, during production? It's going to be us. I mean, if we...
I'm not following. I'm not tracking.
I mean, we're tokenizing the game's production. It's different than a game that
Correct.
uses tokens
Correct.
in the game.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah, that's true.
So
But the
that's
concept
apples
of the
and oranges.
movies, but the concept is the same as tokenizing the movie.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. So you have same principle of people get access to tokens either through buying them or doing service, and with that access they can proffer ideas, suggestions, votes on the game's direction or the movie's
They also
direction.
they can get transparency.
Okay.
Like, go try to watch the next Mission Impossible on the set. They won't let you on. If it were tokenized and you have the right token, you're right there, live stream or otherwise. So there's access. The token is giving you the access. Without token, you don't have access. There's voice. So you're on the set with Tom Cruise, and you're like, what if you know? And then there's share profits. If you don't have the token, you're getting none of those things.
I mean, the big thing for me is like, okay, I'm going on the website. It's the movie. You guys have like posted there. Oh, here's the map for the city that a movie is going to take place in. And I write a comment. I'm like, well, what if we added a zone for rich switch people, but it was over here because I think that was better over here than over there.
So someone's going to read that.
Maybe distracted.
Yeah, I guess. Sorry.
So in the DAO, either the DAO members are all reading it together, or isolated people in the DAO who are really running production. In either case, the idea is celebrated. And I go, wait a minute, that you just made it do better. So here's the dominoes that fall from you typing that out. One is the movie's changed, and the next version of the website shows a different district in the city. So it's been incorporated in the movie's production and plot. Two is
Wait, can I take a step back? Okay, so I do that. Then, so I get a token for, pitching ideas, for having an idea.
I haven't gotten to that.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
still
so
on. I'm still on the movie itself has changed from a good suggestion. It's hard to do that today. You could do it retrospectively after Mission Impossible or 4 comes out. You're like, they should have done it this way. Fuck, they should have done it that way. But in the new production, those eyeballs aren't seeing and their voices aren't being heard. If there's a conflicting comment, well, we're going too fast. So, in a scenario where your idea is put in and the movie's made better, you may already have tokens, you may not, but whether you did or didn't, you just minted yourself a new one. Titles you profit share, a little bit of flex, and you get the gratification of when the movie comes out and you're with your girlfriend, you're like, that was my idea. And you even have the credits there in the NFT to prove it.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one do you want to do next? Do you need the token part that you got a token, or the conflicting idea? So someone else goes, I was thinking we should have a different district in the city-state, but I was thinking it should be black, like the Orange Julius thing. Okay, fine. So now, they directly contradict. So now the DAO's like, everyone in the DAO has no ambiguity in the proposition that Judah's idea and Orange Julius' idea cannot coexist. We have to pick one. First of all,
Two, I think, lovely possibilities.
well, first of all, this conflict just made our revenue go from here to here. This week, not when the movie comes out, not 5 months from now. This week, there's that much more engagement and people coming going, well, I think this and I think that, and they're taking sides. So that's engagement, that's eyeballs, that's people spending time on our platform. The advertisers come within droves saying, you're getting more people and more engagement than you used to. Here's more money because I want this brand in front of them.
And then we could have a big town hall.
It's a Kardashian. It's a fucking shit show. And then we have you and Orange Julius come and you take turns. Comrades, this is my speech to you. Then the other guy goes, that's its own fucking episode. Now, how do we get to resolution about which way the movie goes? We don't have to. We can actually make both versions. Let's say you want a cityscape that has X, and he has a cityscape that does Y. Well, once you've got the money together and the equipment, and the camera guy, and the crew, and the makeup, and the wardrobe are out there with the actors, we'll have 2 sets. We'll have 1 set with 2 expressions. So we'll film all the scenes in that Cityscape 1.
Yeah, but there's going to be hundreds of thousands of contradicting sets then.
I don't know about hundreds of thousands, but the DAO can start to pare down different times in the format. So we can maybe get 8 different versions of the movie. I don't know about hundreds of thousands. We could conceivably do a few thousand versions. Once you're out, if we're out in Area 51, I'll do it as simple as a character, a casting, right? So we do auditions, maybe right here, and we bring in 8 attractive girls to play the female lead. And we can't seem to get unanimity and consensus in the DAO settling on one girl. This faction wants one girl, the other faction wants another girl. I'll tell you what, there's 30 scenes that she's in. As long as we're going out to Vegas and Area 51 and the set here in town and the soundstage, as long as you get the camera up, you just do all the takes with girl A, and then all the takes with girl B, and all the takes with girl C, and now you've got all the versions there. In editing, it's nothing to.
Why would we even make multiple versions for our audience?
Why would you what?
Why would we want to make multiple versions for our audience?
First of all, you're your own best competition. So now you have different versions of the movie coming out, and people might be curious which one's better. But each faction is going to pound their chest for their version. They're going to market the movie even harder. They're gonna shit talk each other. No. You don't want to watch that version of the movie. You want to watch this version. And so suddenly we are our own best competition. We have that much more revenue on the way to release, and certainly after release we have multiple movies. Now, I don't know about 8,000 movies. That's confusing for an audience. I also don't think it's as simple as one movie, one way. We have three.
So that brought up two things I did not know before.
Yep.
That the user engagement, I mean, I see it now, that it increases our revenue. That doesn't necessarily mean that the movie at the end will increase our revenue with a woman, with a different woman playing the active role. It makes sense. But the engagement of people arguing and stuff.
We'll make more revenue because the people who supported the blonde
I understand user
are
engagement.
they're gonna get more people to come watch the movie. They're gonna go to their cousin.
So that's
to
the
go.
second point. Yeah.
That's not user engagement. That's audience watching the
But
movie.
the
after
first thing.
The first one's just so that's a Kardashian. The Kardashians will be out of business. There'll be no reason to watch the Kardashians or Vanderpump or any of these. These reality shows are nothing but attractive people fighting each other over nothing. This is very incredibly interesting people fighting each other over the best way to make a movie about Satoshi.
I get it.
Blade Runner.
I get it now.
And ultimately, if we wanted to, if there was like some issues, like there's a tiny issue and there's, Judah and Mark have a different way of, basically, you can put things to vote, DAO can vote on certain things and one wins, and then other things to vote the other way. You can, as Mark said, you can fork it. So there's 2 times, and one, backs one backs the other. Either way, you're getting tons of engagement. Like if you're setting up town halls, people are gonna, make the case for doing it one way. People are gonna make the case for doing it down, choose inside. I think our challenge will be to manage the process so it doesn't come out of control. So there aren't thousands, tens of thousands.
Well, we have a number of mechanisms that we have conceived to make that conversation manageable. If it is hundreds of thousands of people around the planet descending on this DAO with their ideas and they start to conflict with each other, we have a number of mechanisms in place to get a nice flume of ideas that end up in the movie or not.
Like Windows through Windows in which people have the chance to proffer a suggestion. An army of Filipinos.
I think certainly an army of curators.
Yeah.
But the idea of outsourcing it to English speakers abroad, they don't give a shit about this movie. It would be a subset of the actual sapiens in the DAO. We're like, okay, we have earned the right to be curators of ideas because we've shown with time and devotion and earning more and more tokens for it that it's like, who's in charge of the future of judo or karate? The Grand Master, right? You can't get a yellow belt come in there and go, I've got some changes to judo. Like, maybe it's a good idea, but it's got to get past the Grand Master. And judo does change a little bit every 50 years. So this is now, it's like, who is in charge of the lore? And who's keeping the
final book stops here.
But I don't think we would outsource it to English speakers. They don't give a shit.
No, yeah, it should be.
To these people, Satoshi is Jesus, is the prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. Is a sacred figure. They are going to bring a lot of care to the curation of each of the ideas. But that's just more engagement. And that's just whatever ideas we might come up with, writing a script or creatively, they're gonna smash it. They're gonna come much better ideas. So this idea, what we're doing now is like a flywheel. Like we're just getting a script out. We're just getting a few ideas out, and here they come. And they're like, give me that script. That's terrible. I wrote a better one. You certainly did. And the DAO goes, let's go with that. And then it just gets sharpened and curated and sometimes forked, but always in a manageable way. But these are all assets and opportunities to us. It's hard to explain the post office. It's hard to explain email to the post office. This process to put a movie together, it's hard to explain to people because it takes a logic that has never happened in human history. Wait a minute, I got my storyteller, I got my audience. How are you getting them both to wear the same hat at the same time? Disintermediating the studio in the middle. Like, it's a logic puzzle. It's a pretzel for the brain. But once you reframe your perspective, it's like, that's revenue, that's opportunity. The movie got better in quality.
I understand.
And we take a step back.
Yeah, you guys ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, the next slideshow is community and content creation. You guys have to take a look at that?
Yes.
So how do you guys want to go about this? Should I just read through and you guys pitch in questions?
Happy to go, I mean, I read it. I'm happy to listen if you want to go through it again.
So no, I think if you guys have read it, it's not necessary. What were your thoughts?
I agree with all of it. Without a community, we have nothing. The question is, how do we resource up to get all of those platforms, have a presence on all those platforms, we're credentialized, and we get noticed, and people come, and as they come, they stay, and then we engage them. How do three guys, let's count Dario as a possible fourth. Dario's not so interested in this part of it. Nitin, our developer, not so much. Nitin's marching orders to us were go create a community. Everything you said is great forensics and diagnostics.
No.
I mean, look,
I
I
think-
think you did a great job of outlining some of the possible steps, some output from certainly the platforms, and we've taken some steps at creating some of these instantiations, but we just haven't been diligent enough. He's been really good at posting on Twitter, but it's not even his own Twitter. We have to combine, either start from scratch or take what we have from Twitter and really dial it up. With YouTube, we started a YouTube page. Everything you said, we can either start from scratch or incorporate the ones we started, but it has to be consistent. We have to have good content, and that's it. Good content, consistency. It's not. I mean, consistency.
I mean, then I think between the three of us, we just have to find a way to have an efficiency model of like who does what, how much time. I mean, it's a lot of work.
It's a beast. And Logan spent a lot of years in the shadows, consistently posting, and then he would go on other prominent influencers' platforms and comment to get noticed in the comments. It has been done. It's doable. The algorithms know what they want to see. The humans know what they want to see.
I think there's no controversy to these remarks in these slides, and I think maybe consider our next meeting to be devoted to this.
Okay.
And then we can
I
figure
mean,
out what needs to be done, who does it, and then the content. A lot of this stuff we'll do together. A lot of it will be done individually.
Right. Yeah, like spend a meeting or two learning everything we need to know, and then change control. Implement.
Yeah. That works.
Perfect. Alright, that was short. Yeah. I'll come down to action items. Next meeting. Alright. Elevator pitch. You guys take a look at that one?
I did.
It's very short. Any thoughts?
First, I will say short and elevator pitch goes together. the elevator.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
And you're like, wait, I'm
Like,
still telling you about my project.
Like literally open the computer, boom, 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 boom. Elevator.
Thoughts on what you said?
I think that one of our weak points is putting in the mind of an audience in 30 or 60 seconds what's in our head. And so this gets us closer to that. I think we should road test it, right? So you wrote 3 paragraphs a few weeks ago that synopsized the model, I thought, in an excellent fashion. Here's another expression.
A little shorter.
Let's go to people. You know, show it to them, express it to them.
At the
Yeah, no, I was thinking that exact
That's what
thing.
they're gonna do. Like they're gonna hack you to pieces on. Tell me your model. How does it make money? Why are people gonna come? Why are you different from other? Why is the SEC not gonna? Blah, 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 blah. And
I don't know the answers to all those questions, you know.
so you want to come in like bulletproof, which is okay. My elevator pitch got you to listen, but these audiences, they're very jaded. They're banged up from a lot of scams and a lot of well-meaning projects that aren't scams but are run by idiots. The zigging and the zagging and the pivoting, right? And so crypto in general is just this space of horseshit. So they come very caustic and jaded and almost toxic. And so you want to come as this flower that just keeps taking in sunlight. You want to be the sunlight itself. And if you have in your mind 30 questions they're going to ask you to rip you apart, ready that you're ready to answer them, and it's scripted, and you believe it, you have a chance at a conversation. We should go next door and try it out. They would love Judas. They'd be like, okay, he looks like what we're looking for. Like he looks smart, young, crypto, inclined, like techie, but kind of badassery with the boxing.
I want to go with you guys, so I'm not gonna go alone.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, right there. But I'm still. It's a lot like boxing or the gym. It's like physical stuff where you keep. It's a practice. You keep working on it, keep getting better. And I think this is a leap forward in our elevator pitch.
Okay.
But that's what I think. Let's see what people think.
Well, what would be like? So you have, when I look at this, I see these different components. Okay, what would be like the prime? Like all of these are great.
Yeah. So you got 45 seconds. I'm in the elevator. Action. Go.
We publicize the process to make a movie about crypto before it goes to invest money and make the movie better.
Do you have any notes?
Maybe this slide should go first.
What's that?
Like this slide would go first, and then this slide would go second.
Yes. Yeah. Because I was looking above it. So like,
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, do you guys think we should add or modify this? I kind of
This afternoon, no. I think on the other side of road testing it, you'll either realize this is it, because everyone's coming. There's like 8 people at the next sit down. Or they're like, you get a little banged up, and you're like, okay, I got to make some changes. And then a newer version of this comes out, incorporating either direct feedback they gave you, or probably more likely indirectly. It didn't land with them, and they did say things, and they thought about it, and like, okay, I know how to do it. But the hardest part's over. This is 95%. You got started, and you're out there. I think you made some great remarks in your materials about you got to get out there. You just got to get out there. Put risky stuff out there. So whether it's digitally and virtually on YouTube, or Discord, or it's physically, or it's somewhere in between. And I think that the upstream first domino to fall is a very Kabbalah thing, is belief. So, and that requires a focus. Like, is it a video game? Is it a movie? It's both. Fire, it's both. Whatever it is, like you're like, okay. I go to bed at night and I see it so vividly that it's already happened. I'm just watching it unfold now. I walk around all day like it's already happened. And any question anyone wants to cross-examine me about, from the regulatory and the law, to the token model, to the community, to the movie, to the script, to the, like, I'll answer your question. What's your next? But I have to keep getting better. So I think the hardest part's over. Is we've got some good expression. Let's put it out. Let's see the feedback, and let's resolve that we have exactly the right thing. Let's keep going, or we need to make some changes and then try again. And just fall in love with the process. Just fall in love with it. But like, it's the first time I went out to start pitching this, I was so sure that people would be like doing figurative backflips, like, a movie on Satoshi token, and the tokens do this, and the regulatory does that. I'm in. And they were just like, you ever see A Christmas Story? No? Oh, okay. Well, he wants a BB gun for Christmas, little kid. And he's going everywhere, and they kept saying to him, well, shoot your eye out with that BB gun. Like, it's absolutely not a yes. And I keep getting that over and over. I'm not communicating.
I gotta run to the restroom. You guys figure out the elevator pitch.
One of three reasons. Either I have a very stupid idea that'll never work. I have a great idea, but I'm not communicating. Or, and I gotta take this third one off the list because it puts me in quicksand, is I have a great idea. My communication is understandable to an 8th grader.
Yeah.
I'm showing a type of logic that has never shown up in human history. I'm trying to explain an automobile to somebody in the 16th century. I'm trying to explain capitalism to a feudal lord in the 12th century. And it's going to be in a version not dissimilar to what we've conceived. That is the future. Like, a year from now, your birthday, two birthdays from now, February of 2025, crypto's gonna be like Bitcoin. It's gonna be this hot. It's gonna be hot again. And maybe 5 years later, crypto will kind of be here, and movies will be tokenized, games will be tokenized, Starbucks will be tokenized, and you'll either go, I was working with these two guys, and we were exploring, and it happened, but we just bailed, or we just didn't do it. We didn't. Or you're gonna be like, you're on the cover of Fortune magazine. You're the guy who did it, and I'm like, oh, it's the reason I have so much conviction is when the internet was new, and the internet was where crypto is. I was a skeptic. I was an attorney, and I was a technology attorney, and I was writing all the contracts about internet and telecom and all, and I was like, it'll never work. Like, no one's ever gonna take a credit card and put it on the internet. It's wrong. Like Amazon. Like, I've dated girls who just go click, 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 and I'm like, I still would never do that. Like Uber, Amazon, I'm like, right? But I was wrong. And I'm like, now you don't want to overlearn the lesson, compensate. And I'm like, oh, the world will be tokenized. And the reason and the way it works is everything we have in our model. It's a new way to make money. It's a new way to feel your voice, have your voice heard by people. It's a new way to join communities and groups, whether it's a boxing gym or it's an online Discord group about a video. It's a new way to connect with people where you get those heightened outputs. And I'm just gonna keep. I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop. And what I have to do now is get adaptive and flexible and fluid, and receive coaching and feedback to sharpen the model, so that if it is a stupid model, I gotta make it a smart model. My communication of it, so that the penny drops, they understand this is a smart model. I'm in. It's going to work. there's a lot of people who laughed at Amazon. Amazon stock has had double-digit drops every year for 25 years. Has had 90% crashes maybe 3 times in its history. Time Magazine had Jeff Bezos as Man of the Year. The next year they had him as a loser. But Amazon works, Facebook works, Google works. So I lived through one giant. All the things that you just do on your phone and on the internet was science fiction. And then I watched it get put together and fail, put together and fail, put together. Amazon was not just a rocket ride from the beginning. It was very clunky, a lot of failures along the way, including those crashes. But we're sitting on, we have lightning in our life. And so I asked myself, Judah's got to do Judah. I got to do me, you got to do you. You've got Cooper and the great support system. But I sometimes ask myself, I go through, so Judah's going to apply to college in a few weeks. Will his applicant, they'll go, look, you have great grades, you smoked the SATs, what else did you do? I probably do boxing and I helped launch a startup. Tell me about the startup. Well, I implemented the change control. I identified, selected, and implemented the tool that we use for management. I wrote a screenplay and I wrote the constitution for our thing, and I got us the investor room, and they're like, can we come work for you? like that's one version of the future, and I love it. Like, let's go do this. Someone's doing it right now. Lesser men are doing more than us right now. Whether it's the community building, it's the what it is to tokenize, or it's the token model. How many tokens? How do they get out? How do people get a token? Do they buy them? I think we have a tight model. I want to make it tighter, but lesser men are doing more right now.
Where are we? Discuss Judah's financial share of the project. Something that was mentioned in the chat. So I put some thought into this, like not expecting a salary, not expecting any type of wage. I don't expect us to really know, any like share. I think the only way that I can see really like me getting any type of payment is share of profit. And we don't have exactly like the distribution model fully set up. It's very loosey-goosey. I could maybe throw out a number or two of like percent share, but it's honestly pointless. Just to reiterate, I don't want a salary. I'm okay with not being paid right now. I get so much value from the intangible in this project, but a share of the project at the end of the day is what I'd be looking for, but it's not something that we can really define at this present time, at least how I see it.
So I'll say for the camera, because we're on record, there's audiences years from now in a courtroom who might watch this. I do not feel that our token model is loosey-goosey. I think it's very specific, although I agree with you in this sense. It needs work. Like, it needs a new iteration to start to get not more specific, but more intelligent science, more spirit into it. If there's a supply of tokens, and most of them don't exist yet, and they start to instantiate into existence and land into the hands of folks, what is the smartest way to build a tribe, a community, a DAO that years into the future has, sustains itself, and thrives and flourishes? And there's been thousands of attempts up to now to do that, often not with a lot of science or spirit, and they end up being scams. And Bitcoin's pretty good, but some of the indictments you might level at Bitcoin is, well, a lot of these Bitcoin are in the hands of very few people. So as the world comes, there's this imbalance. A lot of Bitcoin concentrated in a few hands. The way Bitcoin gets sent out to people is by burning a lot of electricity to solve a meaningless math problem. Can't there be a better way to prove that you've worked for the security of the network to get to earn that token. I also don't know if a hard cap supply is the intelligent move for us. Maybe for Bitcoin, 21 million cap is smart. There's pros and cons. For us, it might make sense to have an ever-expanding supply, or a supply that at times contracts and other times expands, depending on what the community needs to have a viable native asset in a thriving economy.
The token economics are very good right now.
And so there, it's sort of, there's what is Judah's reward financially, and then there's what's our tokenomics, and they're really the same. Now, if we look at what we have so far, we don't have nothing. I don't think there's something loosey-goosey. We have something very specific with a lot of science and a lot of spirit. But the task is to make it better. And the upstream question is the Cantillon effect, which is an economic concept that simply means this. The Cantillon effect asks a question. If you have a supply of assets, dollars, Bitcoin, who is the first party to possess the asset when it comes into existence? With Bitcoin, it's a miner. With dollars, it's a bank. With us, our science is something like this. If you can imagine Starbucks is tokenized, or the Los Angeles Lakers are tokenized, the Salvation Army is tokenized, or our movie is tokenized, it might make sense that the first party to possess the newest tokens in Starbucks or Lakers or Salvation Army or DAO is whoever showed up in the past day and delivered, contributed meaningful, measurable, substantive value that uplifted the value of Starbucks, of the Lakers, of the Salvation Army, or of our movie. Millions of ways to do that, from hey, I'll work on the website, or I'll make the website better, to hey, I came up with a better cityscape for your movie. All of a sudden, as tokens get created and vested into the possession of a party, it's not because they gave money. It's not because they solved a math problem. It's because they showed up first as their best self, the Dorothy thing. Like, wait a minute, I want to make the Lakers better. I want to make Starbucks better, so I have to show up sharp with great ideas and great effort. And I got to blow their minds with an idea or a contribution of effort, and I will, and I did, and I just got this. And you can hold it and share in profits, and there'll be more profits because it's making even more money because it's better because you made it better. Or you can maybe sell it. In either case, it's not a security because you gave the effort. But whoever wants to buy it from you won't ask the usual question of, what's it backed by? What backs the US dollar? Used to be gold, not anymore. What backs a Bitcoin? Electricity. What backs us? The best version of people bringing the best version of effort and ideas. That's a backed currency. That's something Alice might want to buy from you because she thinks it has value.
That's something that we could really, that could make a great point in the business or in the orange paper, whatever you want to call it.
It's a big matzo ball.
So, and if you recall, the orange paper I sent you, it's 2 years old. We had a token model in there. This has evolved. Like, our token model has evolved. And we call it post-mining because, if you recapitulate, we talk about pre-mining when they're all written and mined in advance, all the tokens. That's where a lot of the fuckery happens. Well, fair launch is a Bitcoin model where every 10 minutes there is new Bitcoins introduced and they go to the miners. Post-mining it's a party contributes effort, like Bitcoin, to the DAO. Contributes to the DAO. But none of it's not on any, it's not necessarily every 10 minutes set schedule like the fair launch. And it vary by party to party who's contributing the effort. And there absolutely is no pre-launch. There absolutely isn't some pool of tokens that are just minted in advance that go to the VC or the founders or the advisors or that sort of fundraising.
Now to bring it full circle to you and your reward, and thereby concretize and make this more literal, concretize the idea that more literal is you've shown up to a half dozen sit downs. You're always punctual, you're always polite and professional, and you're always coming sharp with a genius idea and verbal skills, both written and spoken. And you're making us better and the DAO better. Example, you said, hey, we should have a management tool. I'll go get Monday. You ain't got Monday. You implemented it. You made sure it was paid for. You made sure you'll paid up to keep us current with the payments. You found a change control model when it was suggested. You've come up with great presentation. A different way to say what you've been doing, you've been mining. Now, let's bring it to, well, what does Judah get? Judah should get a share of, should get financial gain from those efforts. The first gold that was ever possessed by humans, you didn't really have to mine for it. You just could go to a riverbed and pick it up. But humans valued it for a lot of reasons. Like, this is different than that. Like, this rock is different than that rock. So they started to feel like they should hold on to it. A few years later, you couldn't just go to a riverbed and pick it up. You had to kind of search for it, but it wasn't that hard. Today, you got to dig it. There's still gold. There's more gold underground than we'll ever get to. It's just very expensive. Bitcoin has the same science, which is in the beginning, but there's not many people and no one cares about this. It shouldn't be hard to get the assets. So Bitcoin mining is very easy. You can do it on a laptop. And the reward was big. You got 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. Over time, that gets cut in half, and now it's much harder. You need an A6 machine, and maybe you get 3.25 Bitcoin. So we might take some cues and go, look, in the beginning, the Judas were showing up, contributing effort, showing up polite, correct, they're not killing babies or killing puppies, they're constructive. You're mining. And so the math that we might explore building out is there's tokens already to be distributed to Gil, to Judah, to me, to Dario, and to the other 50 people who've gotten us this far. If we give them too much, we will be in a circumstance where Bitcoin is, where as the world comes, certainly the Sapiens, they're gonna be like, there's not that much reward. Why does Judah have so much and I don't? It's like, well, he was here first, and you wouldn't have anything to come to without his effort. You're kind of like the George Washington. There should be a statue.
I mean, really, our team is like sitting at the foot of a skyscraper with massive,
So, we want to make sure that future audiences celebrate us and they celebrate the idea that we get rewarded, and they celebrate the amount of reward we get, while not resenting that their reward is less. So this is homework. Like, okay, now the best part of this is you're not limited to one supply. Maybe what we get is a bunch of NFTs, founder NFT. Can I sell it? No. Can I flex it? All day. Does it get me all kinds of great things? I'll get invited to the White House, or whatever, the Orange House after the revolution. That's one way around it. And yes, we have fungible tokens that give us profit, but we didn't grab so many that there's not profit left over to be shared, or we can dump them on the market and drop the value. That's homework for us.
Or if a contributor comes with financial, contribution, not just effort, but, we have a model, our original token model, we allocated tokens for the crowd, we added tokens to a seed investor, we had allocated tokens to founders, like us. And again, this is an exact science, because token models of pre-mine, that's exactly what they did. The founders and advisors, they got all this stuff, and they would dump them on the market. Now we're trying to be very careful or circumspect in that, you know, those founders only get tokens when there's contributions made, or the people who are making the seed, people who are providing seed capital, if there is capital that's being provided, they have to put a certain amount of effort to unlock their tokens, you know, so there's like different mechanisms that we're trying to implement to avoid some of the mistakes that teams in the past may have made, that, you know, from the pre-mine where they have this, pre-mine supply. So, nobody's done it, so we're trying to...
This is uncharted waters, just like the charter and the constitution. We need a new word, and we're going to write this same tokenomics. There's no token model out there that has nailed it, not even big.
So I have 3 announcements on it.
Yeah, what?
I have 3 announcements I just want to make.
Yeah.
First announcement, I'm starting to believe that it would be better if we knocked out the aspect that you can pay for money to get tokens. I think
Maybe knocked out.
So,
Remove it?
yeah, I think we should do that.
You can get tokens only one way, and you have to contribute effort. You cannot buy a token.
Yeah. Few reasons I can think of. One is going back to the kind of like pay to win kind of idea. You know, people hate that shit, and it gives me vibes like
Got
that.
the scam smell.
Very much. Then also, like you said, with Bitcoin, people like Michael Saylor, they're billionaires. The people who bought the Bitcoin, those have all the Bitcoin.
Those have all what?
Those people have all the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Supply, so they have a lot
Who do you think the biggest holder of Bitcoin is? Grayscale. Well, Satoshi. Grayscale.
Yeah, Grayscale, yeah.
And then
Grayscale,
BlackRock,
MicroStrategy.
and then Saylor.
Yeah, so anyway, you know, with our project, people coming to get money, what if we just have one rich fucker who just buys up a shitload and doesn't leave any to like the rest, like you said.
problem.
So, second announcement, I'm wondering if how you guys are making a living. I mean, are you
We're
guys
self-funded.
Are you guys making money in this right now?
There's no revenue. If there were revenue, you'd probably be getting a share of it.
Yeah.
Like your times, you know, I appreciate your remarks. My perspective is, in life, we don't get what we want. We get what we think we're capable of. And you'll never outperform your own self-image. And to put it more savagely, and I don't like the next thing I'm going to say, is you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate for. I fucking hate that, but that's the world we live in. So we have everything about Satoshi has been funded by us. From anything, any party we had, a sizzle reel we put together, we have paid for it. And along with the Ricos and the Darios of the world who've come with their time and their money, where I'd like to be within 90 days, if not within 9 days, is we have revenue. It's from the advertisers who realize there's hundreds of thousands or millions of people here who can't stay away from conversations like this. They'll make the token model better. They'll make the script better. They'll make the video game better. They'll help write our charter. And now that's revenue, and that revenue pays bills like Monday.
Yeah.
But you're a freshman a year from now, you're making 200 grand a year. Why? You have tokens that give you a share of the revenues, or it's established that core team members who are on this thing full time get, to your question, they get a salary, they get compensated for their time.
So the answer is no, you guys aren't.
We've never made a dime on this.
No, I think his question is just in general, making a living, like how are we paying bills?
Yeah.
So we are consultants to startups in Web3, and they'll pay us. Our fees are not low. If we have to, we can go take projects for Fortune 500. We did really well in the last bull market. We sat on a big pile of gains, and so we feed off of that. But my invitation is more abundance. I'd rather make money only through the passion of the DAO, but in a way that is in full integrity and full ethics, at least for the way I see the stars for ethics and integrity.
From time to time in the past, and possibly we do take on other projects, as Mark said. We also have some ideas of monetizing some things that we've done in the past. Stuff that we were actually going to, in a spirit of an agenda, not for this meeting, run by you because of the things that you may choose to want to contribute or not contribute. Like, for example, an online course that we put together a while back for a client that we're in the process of updating a little out, but the course is on Bitcoin blockchain.
Like a year from now, what is it? Is it October yet? No, it's September. 11 months from now, Bitcoin's going to start to move. By next December, our phone will be ringing off the hook. People will be throwing a lot of money at us just for this kind of time and conversation to help with their project or with what they're moving to. We're not financial advisors and we don't give financial advice, but we educate people on what this asset class is and what it might become. So where I don't want to be a year from now is, I can't work on Satoshi because I got to work on that. Happened in the last bull market. This is my first and maybe only.
I mean, we're all in on this. I mean,
I am.
Yeah, no, we are too, to the point where.
But let's see, because so a year from now, you're going to know more about crypto than most people on the planet. You already do. Like, you may not know that, or you might realize that, but you know more about crypto than most people on the planet just by these conversations, and you're learning more every day. And soon you'll know difficulty, target adjustment, hashing, and all this shit. Okay, fine. A year from now, people will come to you and throw a lot of money at you for your knowledge. And when it happened to me, I said yes, which means Satoshi got neglected. So bull markets are a great opportunity to neglect Satoshi and make a ton of money.
That's what we're
And
testing.
to live off. When it's your question, well, how do you survive? How do you live? How are you paying? You live by the beach. How are you paying your rent? It's like, we did okay in the bull market. We're sitting on a nice pile from it. We rely on it to fund the project and ourselves.
So this next bull market, what do you plan to do? Satoshi or?
So out of my best imagination, I have invented the possibility of being a creator and receiver of enormous material abundance and spiritual abundance for myself, for my DAO, for anyone in crypto in general, by advancing Satoshi through its process. If it's a movie, pre-production, production, post-production, put it out, making that mad revenue through the revenue streams we just examined, and having so much that I'm giving to charity and I'm helping others, and that this thing is funded to the hilt to make the best movie ever made, past, present, or future in human history.
So your first priority would still be the movie, even if people throw money at you?
That is my invitation. But that is my invitation. But that's what I invite to
the universe, like,
attract.
I mean, you know,
But I've contradicted that in the past. The last bull market, I never shut up about Satoshi. Anyone that wanted, like, Satoshi, we gotta make this movie. But here would come a project, and there would come an investment, and there we go. You're suddenly not working on the script. So I told myself that by Yom Kippur, which is a week from today, we will have a version of the script done. Whether Gil's gonna do it, you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I will. I mean, that's why these meetings are a big deal. I'm like, I need to be right for Judah. I go, come out, sit, talk, and listen. But if a week from now we have a script that has a beginning, a middle, and end, it's not. It doesn't matter if it sucks or not. But people are now reacting to it. Like, do that. Change this. Like, I'm writing a new one. Okay, that's traction. That's the community. So all your remarks about community are valid and they're gold. They're Bitcoin, they're Satoshi coin. Imagine that there's a script there. And then all the lawyers and all the Hollywood and all them are like, well, wait a minute. Did you copyright it? It's like Web3 doesn't understand that logic. You want to steal it, steal it. Like, we're making ours. Go steal it. Knock yourself out. Like, we are going to make this as a community. Who owns it? No one owns it.
Everyone.
Who owns Bitcoin?
Everyone does and no one does. Alright, my third question
Did
is
we answer those questions?
perfectly. Third question is, you said Nietzsche is working on a platform. Is this platform, first of all, is this platform the designated Zap Theory one?
So he's taking, if you watch the Zap Theory video, he's taking that, everything in that video is live bullets on the Ethereum blockchain. It's not a video, it's watching the blockchain at work.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that wasn't just a, hey, this is an animated.
It wasn't a demo?
It is a demonstration of real Ether moving on the Ethereum blockchain every time you saw a use case.
So basically, it was a test net.
Yeah.
So we had a live version, test net version, and so he built all of that. And it was on the Ethereum blockchain, and it was
Yeah,
testnet. Testnet being that you don't have to use real Ether to make the use cases work.
Yeah.
You can use test Ether,
Got it.
so you're not spending
But
money.
we did have real Ether as well.
We did,
And I
we
don't
had
know.
both.
I don't know if the video does test or real, but it doesn't matter. We could have made a video with
Yeah.
real Ether. I think we did. Nitin's commitment to us is, I will take all of that. I will dust it off and start over. It won't take long because that's already there. And I will create an instantiation of that for your movie. Now, he said, go create your community, and then I'll really get started. He said, don't pay me. Now, normally this is up to $2 million of someone's got to come up with the money to pay his team. He's like, don't pay me. Guess what he's doing? He's mining. He's earning tokens, right? And he believed. We and Nitin have, and Dario, we have a sacred relationship. We love each other. We don't care about how emasculating it might sound to say that. We believe in each other intensely. We believe in this project intensely. His commitment is, I will build that. I'm not starting from scratch. I've got a really strong start. So it's not years. It's not even months. It's probably a lot of weeks, and he's got it ready to go. So you got these three engines. You got the community. You got Nitin's platform, along with the tokens, and then you got the script and the movie. It's like, okay, I'm writing the script, I'm working with Nitin, I'm building the community. Oh, we're making a video. Like, okay, like if we can, this is a rocket ship with three engines. With a community, it all flips. Is all the Nitin and all of his competitors will line up going, I want to build it for free. No, I want to build it for free. It's getting like we're not 180 degrees away, we're 359 degrees away. If people show up to this with passion and belief and engagement, not just engagement in Web 2, where hey, I have a comment on Discord. I am showing up correct as my best self, my best ideas, my best imagination, my best effort, and I'm contributing that to your DAO here. I just earned a token. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to start marketing this thing. They start coming in droves. Here come the advertisers. That's revenue for all of us. Nitin's built the damn thing. We can get by for the next few weeks on Twitter and Discord or whatever. But as we migrate over to what Nitin builds, and we've got our algorithm set by then, which is this much effort gives you this many tokens. Right? Judah got this many tokens. Any questions? Any problems? No. Because it's a genius math and science and art and spirit to how many tokens and who gets what.
So I'd like to now create a timeline with you guys.
Let's do it. Action!
Crap. So, what is our first, we have the script. What are we going to do between now and what? Do you know what date it's going to be? You said,
September 25th.
25th? 5th.
What's the date on Monday? Well, I'm not on Tuesday. So you're fasting on Monday?
Fasting on Monday.
So you're not, hey, it's Monday, Yom Kippur, read my script. Like, what am I, an asshole? Also, I could use the fucking time. Like, you don't understand. Like, I go home, I open the laptop, and I'm just going, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta train, and I gotta,
Also, I want to say, just hearing you talk,
Yeah.
I know you're a good writer, because you have extremely sharp, like, associations and, like, benefits. Like, you draw, like, stuff that was mentioned previously in the conversation and weave it in, like, at the end. That's, like, the sign of a really good, like, writer.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Look, set the expectations real low, except that there'll be 100 pages with a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
It might be dog shit, but on Tuesday, my military objective is I go to you, and Dario. And I go, here you go. Now there's other people chomping at the bit to read this script. Some are in the DAO and they have tokens, others are floating around going, oh, let me. I don't know if I want them to see it before you guys have seen it, and at least given a chance to make it better. However, it's Tuesday, you're holding the script, you go read it. That's a timeline.
We'll upload it to Tuesday.com.
I mean, I think I'm gonna meet the date. I've been working diligently. The big milestone that I hit was I finished the damn thing.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, you finish the draft. And now I've been in my next phase of sharpening it, refining it. But Tuesday you've got a script.
Alright, do we want to have a meeting between now and Tuesday? And if so, it's probably anymore.
I would prefer not to, so I could go write this. I would love to have one after you've read it.
It's Sunday afternoon. I'm headed to Phoenix for Yom Kippur. Monday I'm fasting. I'll be back Tuesday morning. So I'm available anytime. If he's writing and you want to throw ideas,
We also have the chat. We have a good chat on the text.
chat, you know. But
And I'm usually not. I say no to meetings all the time. With Judah, I've never said no, and I just don't see myself ever saying no. But this week, I would like to just. I don't want calls. I don't want meetings. I don't want hookers. I want to just train, eat, and get this thing done.
Perfect. Okay. So is our next order of business after the script, the meeting about community creation?
So let's play it out. You're building a timeline.
Yeah.
So there's tributaries. What the hell's a tributary? It's like slices of a river. So there's tributaries to this river. There's well, with the script, with a draft of the script done, we shouldn't stop. We should hit the gas and go. Which means we should get to a second draft of the script. So I'm sending you version 1, technically version 2. We should get to version 3 on your timeline of the script by X date. It might be November, it might be January, but we should put on the timeline. So version 1 of the script comes out, then version 2, then version 3. And put some nice dates on that so that people have time to read it. They have time to proffer feedback, and then whoever owns the script has time to write it into the version. So what do you think, how long do you think it takes you to read a 100-page script? Might be 120 pages.
120 pages.
And you got homework, you got boxing,
Yeah.
and if you find it boring, you still have to read it. Like that's a hell of an ask.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So 2 weeks from Tuesday.
I mean, I'll try to read it in one sitting. Me personally, so but I can't promise. So like, if he sends it to me Wednesday, you know, I hope to have it read the next day. Like I'll give myself a couple days, but I just want to read through it.
So let's
Scripts
say.
aren't like books, you know. It's a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of
Have
like.
you ever read a screenplay?
No,
Oh, they go fast.
they go pretty
They-
fast.
Like it's just.
So 100. It's not like reading
It's not.
100.
It's not 100 pages. Like a typical line is like 4 words.
So that can do it in a weekend.
Yeah.
And they say when you read a screenplay, you should read it out loud. You should never read it. So you should be the character and read it. I read it with obviously with a pen. So let's say 2 weeks. That's a week. So let's say first week of October. Everyone's read it, but that doesn't mean that we have version 2, because after you've read it, you need to formulate your feedback and deliver your feedback. Whether you're writing it to me or we sit down and go through it. And it may be the case that one of us goes, Mark's not writing the next version. Judah's gonna write, Misha's gonna write. We're gonna get Leo DiCaprio to write. But anyway, someone has to take the feedback and create a new version.
Okay, so October 3rd is the week from the 26th.
So by then people have read it. How long?
Mario, me, Gil,
That's it.
and Gil have read it, and read it. Yeah.
How long until all of that becomes feedback to show up as version 3?
So, version 3 or version 2?
I'm sending you version 2.
Oh, you are sending.
You read version 1.
Just sent me a couple excerpts. Remember you sent me?
We have a version 1 that I think saved as a version 2. So whatever version 1
When
was,
you
I
talk
think.
to say version 1 is like, is it version 1 script writing or version 1 like story?
It's a script.
So you
It's got characters and lines and shit.
yeah, you sent me the first act. Yeah, that's version 1.
Yep.
So, everyone read Pen by October 3rd, version 3. 2 weeks? I'd say that's fair. And that's when the version 2, like version 3 has been agreed upon.
Oh, it's written.
Version 3 is written. Okay. Okay. Perfect.
So I'll probably have a week like this week where I'm like, okay, let me take all the notes. And what's going to be awesome is if there's creative differences.
Yeah.
The Beatles never had that problem.
How are you gonna approach that?
So one of the great things I think you're going to get out of what used to be called an internship, and I can't sign up to that word, this experience together, is the journey of a document put together by a group is a special one. And I think up to now you've written a lot, maybe read even more, and it's usually just one writer. Like you don't write a paper with others, do you? Okay. So when you work with a group, and this was new to me when it was new to me, I'm like, the fuck is all this? But someone writes a first version, they pass it around, everyone reads it, they red pen it, they show up, and they do a table time or a page turn. Same idea, page turn, table time. And we go, okay, page 1. Any comments on the first page? And someone goes, I have changes to the first paragraph. Okay, what? Change reasonable to appropriate. And then you fight. And I go, no, don't make that change. Make that
What
change.
if we don't like the whole first scene?
Yeah, talk it through, right? And now there will be disagreement. And it'll be spirited discussion if you're a harmonizing beehive of a DAO. It'll be a shit show if you're not the Beatles. But on the other side of it, and it takes time, and it takes listening and thinking, but are you familiar with Hegel? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So, thesis. Someone looks at it and goes, nah, it's red, it should be green. Antithesis, so your bottom. The synthesis is the magic where they kind of fight it out and a third bottle gets born. And it's either a blend or a hybrid or an invention even better. And that becomes the new thesis to which a antithesis shows up because that's human nature. And they fight and so this is exactly that where folks are coming together, they're looking at a thesis of a script and they come up with their notes and the new version gets created through the discussion. Now the guy who wrote it knows the document more or less a scribe. He may jump into the spirited debate himself and go, no. I think it should be this word, and this is why I wrote it that way. But if your ego's out of it, you're not being emotional, and you're zoomed out, whether it's a corporate document, or a legal document, or a creative document, it comes out in drafts, and each redraft is the result of sort of a tabletop discussion.
So do you think that between October 3rd and 17th there should be a meeting where the four of us sit down and have a table turner?
Ideally, that's how we would get from version 2 to version 3. It's like a page by page table turn. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of imagination, and it's the Beatles like kind of making their music.
It's called the table turner.
Either a tabletop or a page turn. The page turn because you turn the page. Tabletop because we're all putting the damn. We all show up with our own version. And I'm old school, so I do it printed out. Everyone's got their freaking laptop and their phone. Like, you got a literal printout, and you've written your notes on it. And you just go like this. And the guy, owning the document makes the changes.
Yeah, so
But
far,
that, if you grasp that, if you have a command over that process, you'll smoke anything you do with a committee in the future. College, professional, whatever. Sitting down, you're leading, like you do this every meeting, you lead us through discussion points. All you're doing now is you're evolving a written artifact into greater and greater version of itself by incorporating feedback. Facilitate the conversation.
And just an important, this takes me a long time to not grasp conceptually, but to just implement the idea of version control. So every time you start with a document, and then before you implement the changes, you create a new version, and then you do the new, and then you save it as a new version. You keep every time there's a new version, so you have a record of all the versions. Right?
And they're all red
see
lines.
the evolution.
You know, a red line.
Yes.
So,
Oh, wait. That's right.
so let's say you have a document up right in the computer, and we all go, hey, change the third word to, it says reasonable, change it to appropriate. You go, no problem, change it to appropriate. If you're redlining it, the word reasonable was there, it stays there, crossed out. And appropriate shows up, and it's got its underline, and it's called track change.
See the change that was made, and you could always easily go back to the previous one.
So that, future audiences and us are like you can just see it. In the next version, you put out the clean version with no changes reflected. And then the red line beside it, so people go, oh, he made that change, he made that change.
Perfect.
Now, the very first time I had to do this, I was a first-year attorney, and they had tasked me with owning a big-ass document, and I didn't know shit. And Aaron Oser was the partner, and he calls me over. It's like 20 people on each side of the table, and they're negotiating. It's a meeting. And he calls me over, and I go, yeah, Aaron, what's up? I've got my laptop, and he's like, we have a version control problem. And I'm like, version control problem, right? And I go back to and I'm like, what's a version control problem? Like, what's version control? Like, Gil just walked you through what it is. I mean, it's a beast. Now, you might say, well, isn't this the work of a secretary? A very engaged, high-functioning brain will nail this. Anything less, they're going to miss things. And then you get suspicion. Imagine this is a legal contract. And the other side's like, I thought we agreed that we would have this change. I'm not seeing it. And I don't trust it.
Right.
So this is about building trust.
Okay.
When we said one of our success criteria is a year from now we trust each other, we care for each other. It's these actions, right? Whether it's meeting minutes or a script, it's like any present or future audience can see all of the versions of the document as it evolved through the conversations. And I remember I would be on a flight and the stewardess is coming to get us stuff, we're all very fancy, first class and this and that. And the stewardess would be a little flirty and she's like, so what do you guys do? And I look up from my laptop, this version control bullshit, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a secretary. But I came to learn that that's everything. That's where all the magic is, because a well-tuned mind that is passionate about it will come as it's like a DAO, and they'll be like, let's make this document even better. But if you don't trust the other people in the conversation, or they annoy you, or then it's just not fun, and it breaks down. So build, and the whole Stitch and Discord and Twitter community is going to be looking at our script. They'll go back to the first version, like, Yom Kippur, Mark gave them a fucking turn. But look at it now. Like, that's mad. That's more advertising. It's people like, dude, look at this earlier version of the script, and they're blogging to each other about how I had too much lesbian shit going on or whatever. He had lesbians going on. Like, you can't lose. It's just get them engaged.
Alright. So October 17th, version 3 is ready. During this time, you just have the meeting really a good page turner because you want you to, spend your energy properly. So, right after version 3 is written, where do you see us going? Should we have the meeting? Go to the meeting?
After version 3, I think one more iteration to get to version 4, and it's another week or two. But it won't take as much time because there's a lot less changes now, and it's getting sharper. Now, the where I grew up, you do 64 versions.
64.
Like it's a, and this script is 100 fucking pages. Or well, what I was working on was 600 page document, 64 versions, right? So it's like, I don't think I need to torture the document or the DAO with numerous versions.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to go out into December for what I believe your people call Hanukkah with a we did 3 passes. Like, your script sucked, it still sucks, because you just took it through 2 passes. You have to sharpen. It's like boxing. Like, you're not a boxer after 3 sessions. So this iterative discipline ends when we all look at each other and go, now that's a script. That is a script. That is the movie we all want. Maybe we get there on Tuesday. Maybe we get there on your birthday. But we want to have the liberality and the latitude to go, look, we're going to give this the devotion and the love that it needs. And then separately, there's this thing going on called, community building. And token model, and Judith, like, there's a lot of plates spinning, which makes me wonder, when you're in college and this DAO is cooking, your freshman year, Bitcoin's $150,000, Ethereum's $10,000, crypto has 1 billion people. All your cousins are calling them, do you know crypto? Tell me crypto. And we have the #1 coin and the #1 project, and our movie's going like, are you gonna go to like class? Like
Probably not. I'll be like Mark Zuckerberg. There you go.
I'm not here to. You gotta do you.
Yeah.
But just that is your future. If you don't see any limitations, and you're like, that's my self-image today. I'm fucking
Bigger than that. Alright, so the way the timing works out, it seems that November 7th was the 4th. So after that, is that what you guys want to?
Yeah, I mean, unless there might be things we can start before while he's refining the script on community building, like.
So you made a great point. You made a lot of great points. One of them was, I don't think we should wait to build our community. I think we should get exposed. So we go video you at the sunset.
So we can hype up the version releases too.
Guess what's coming up, guys? Next version's coming out. We're gonna want your comments, right? So lots of expression to the community about everything that's going on. From, hey, we're building a script. Come in and give us comments. We're building a token model. Come and give us comments. Nitin is building a platform. Come and give us comments. So everyone, some people are like, I don't want to do the tech. I don't want Nitin. You guys work on that. I want to work on the script. Other people are like, I don't really care about your script. I want to work on the tech. Other people want to do it all. Other people have a degree in finance, so I want to do the token. Right? So whatever floats your boat.
With like the landing page, if the current one is dog shit. I can create a new one, work on one together.
Yeah.
You suggested Wix. I'm kind of agnostic as to the tool we use.
Yeah.
I actually, my cousin's fiance, their boyfriend, I don't know where they are right now, but maybe fiance works at Wix in Israel. So we may be able to get like a free account or something.
That'd be
Like,
awesome.
I'll message her today.
Yeah.
You know, and he owes me actually to help write his freaking resume in English. So.
Okay. And so, yeah, I think, Walmart is going to be in the zone as you should be. For those, days leading up to November 7th, you and I can take the charge on the community creation, hyping it up, doing what we can.
And getting some of the socials up, like the Twitter, like resurrecting what is on
Twitter,
Twitter
Discord,
account.
videos to populate it with. Now, we're leaving one thing behind on that creative real quick. Is you wrote a gem of a sympathetic character in an alley getting chased by. If you and you said, look, I want to stay in the creative. Like I don't want to. We're talking about video games, or we're talking about tokenomics, or we're talking about Wix and Discord. Let's be clear. If you feel that the greatest version of you, with no limits, is like, I want to keep building on it. Like, there's nothing wrong with having 2 scripts, right? Just like a video game and a movie. So if you want to keep going with that, we're here to support you with that. If that becomes better than what I produce on Tuesday, then that's the one to go with. I don't want to.
My vision, my prediction is that you're gonna the two are gonna merge.
They synthesize very well.
It's gonna synthesize very well.
Some of the notes on the script might be, I want Judah's, writing to be the opener. And I've always said what you wrote could be the opener. It's just not written as a script, right? So character, colon, line of dialogue, camera, does this. But if you're like, wait a minute, I got the Twitter and I got the tokenomics and I'm going to read Mark's script. It's not my script, it's the DAO script. I think what do they have in a temple, the Ark, where they have to keep the Torah? The most sacred thing we have going is you wrote something, and that Torah might be the thing. Then you might go, I don't want to do anything. Or you might go, I said creative, but you might go, motherfucker. I'll have something for you Tuesday as well. Go. Write it.
Well, I don't have an answer about that yet, but for now, I want to work on all silos. So, do you want to do a meeting before the 26th on that?
You and me? What day is the 26th?
It's Tuesday.
So, I'm pretty flexible. We can meet, if you want to meet Friday or Saturday, Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Okay. And then as for the platform and the algorithm, that's the only 2 things. So you said ET will start Nintendo.
So I'll give you a little hint. So it's NITIN, but the T is a very soft T, and the accent is slightly on the first syllable. So Nintendo will
start, really going through on the platform. And then for the algorithm, when should the timing be on that? Before the community is built?
I think the algorithm and the script are the priorities, right? The algorithm is largely what we visited with. How does Judah get paid? How should we, that's the algorithm. It's mining, but mining 3.0, right? So better than Bitcoin is mining. And it's a lot like writing the script. Einstein said, I never came to my discoveries through my logical mind. I came to them through my imagination and intuition. So you walk on the beach, you take a shower, you're like, I know I got better math for our algorithm. But it should follow the same iterative process as the script. So we have a version of it. It's not bad. It's better than the script I'm writing. Let me tell you, like it's good. But good is the enemy of great. So we need to take that version through iterations, and maybe by December. Gil's birthday is December, yours is February, somewhere between there. Like we got an algorithm, man. We feed it to Midland. It's like now it's on the platform. Can have it done next week. If some of the best things that ever came up in this world were done in one night. It's not hard. It's just it's easy to be simple. It's you just got to clear out a lot of clutter in your head.
So here's what I'm thinking. Would you like to be part of the conversation about?
Absolutely.
I think you should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but then it should therefore be after version 4 is written.
But what you could do this week, next week, I'll tell you what to do, is if next week you're reading the script, this week you could look at the algorithm.
Right.
And you could go, okay, I see this many tokens, and they go to this guy, and this guy, and this guy, based on this and this, and you're like, I got some notes, and you start to make it better. And then we sit down maybe next week, while you're still reading the script, we could meet and talk about your feedback on the
And
album.
you'd be okay with that even though you're writing.
After next Tuesday, I'm down to take feedback on the algorithm. I'm down to do the algorithm.
Okay. So you wouldn't wait until after 4 is written.
Oh, no. These are not dependencies. These are parallel, right? So
Okay. So
the
after
script's
the
moving
page.
through its process, the algorithm's moving its process in parallel.
Yeah.
But we have a realistic timeline to hit them out. So algorithm version 1, algorithm version 2, algorithm version 3. Script version 1, 2, and 3 are probably happening at the halfway points
Right.
between the algorithm milestones.
Right. Okay.
So
So
it's algorithm and script, and then community is your Twitch, Twitter, and Discord.
And I'll meet on community later this week.
and who else do you think would want to be part of the algorithm conversation? Just us?
I mean, Dario doesn't seem to be interested, but I would keep a sort of, he's an elective but not compulsory voice. And then Sherry's very keen on this, but she has a full-time job, so she's busy.
Okay.
I think it's us 3 lesbians. I mean,
Okay.
do you have a genius that you know who can design an algorithm with us? He'll earn tokens. But he has to have a passion for it.
Yeah. I
And this,
know.
when you said, look, I want to get involved with finance and the business, this is
I do love finance and
this is
business.
fun. This is it. Like, what do central bankers do? They have a balance sheet. They put money out. This is that. And they're still in Egypt. We're milking money, man. Like,
This is like, and I mean, we are setting the, imagine the U.S. dollar for the first time. They're about to create the currency for the dollar, and it's like, how much currency should there be? When does it get minted? When does it get mined? Like, how many do you just add dollars anytime Joe Biden wants to fucking, say, or is there limits to when you can add dollars? That's what we're doing.
But see, if you read Bitcoin Standard or other perspectives, and I'm not saying I enroll in it, they have a motive. They're not looking at a national economy saying, how do we get dollars to people in the economy? They also want to build tanks and invade countries, and they want to build schools. So they print, and they just use those, like, it's a little shifty. I don't think they're trying to be shifty. I don't even think they know the damage that it does. So we're taking Satoshi's philosophy and economics and finance, and we're taking it to another level.
So, would you like to have the meeting on the algorithm, the red pen, I'll say the red pen algorithm meeting, between the first version page turner and the second version page turner and the version 3 release Or after the
I would say before the page turner, but after I've delivered you the script.
Right. The version 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So version 2 he'll deliver to us Tuesday the 26th. Between 26th and the page turn, we'll have a sit down
We'll have a
for
page
the,
turn.
We'll have an algorithm page
Algorithm
discussion.
page turn. Largely Judah, reacting. React is such a weak word. Proactively saying, okay, I've looked at what you've done. Here are some ideas, but no pressure. You might come in with nothing to say. That might even be better. Or we just go, look, let's do some math. Like, let's do some finance. Let's do some.
Right. Yeah, we could do the red penning, in the meeting. Yeah. Okay, so finally, how are we gonna fit in this orange paper thing we were talking about?
Constipation.
Well, the great news is many of its inputs are these things. So one part of the orange paper is the algorithm and the tokenomics.
Right.
That might be 20% of the damn paper. Okay, another part is a revenue model. Another part is, so I think that the great news is the Lego pieces for this orange paper exist. They can be tuned up. It's a matter of assembling them the way the sequence you want and expressing them the way you want. You're not starting with a blank sheet of paper. It's really about outputs and how do we achieve the outputs. It's a simple, how long is the Constitution? 17 pages? 7 pages? Not long. Right? It's a document about engineering. So,
what timing-wise, when do you think it would be the right time to start drafting this document?
I think who's gonna do the first draft?
I can do it.
If you are excited about writing the first draft, you can start tonight. You might all have all of one paragraph, and that's all you got. So you don't have the other inputs. So I would attack it and then put it on its own track. So you got.
You could look at what I say, you can be like 90% of that gets thrown out. But there's some nuggets in here that I think would be great. You maybe 90% stays. I don't know. Like take that as like
That's the version 1.
That's version 1. And it's 2 years old. Version 1, it was like, the Articles of Confederate, or it was like the original.
We're giving you the Articles of
Yeah.
Confederation. You have every right to go writing a constitution. This is homo and hetero writing you a constitution. Boom. Put it out there.
I think that a perfect time would be between October 24th and the 7th.
November.
Of November. Okay. A meeting where we have or orange paper page turn.
I mean, that's good. That works.
I think that's perfect. I think that draws everything. So here's what I got. Meeting between now and Tuesday. Me and you implement community and content creation. September 26th, version 2 of the script is released. October 3rd, Dario, Judah, and Gil have read it and penned it. Meeting to be determined date. Gil, Mark, and Judah have an algorithm version 2 page turner. Meeting to be determined date. Dario, Judah, Mark, and Gil have a script version 2 page turner. October 17th, version 3 is written. That's 2 weeks later. October 24th, Dario, Judah, and Gil have read it and penned it. Meeting to be determined date. Gil, Mark, and Judah have an orange paper page turner. Meeting to be determined date. Dario, Judah, Mark, and Gil have a script version 3 page turner. And then version 4 is written, and then rinse and repeat until it's done. I think that's perfect. Like, that's totally bulletproof.
And it's achievable, it's aggressive. We're good.
algorithm and you've got a constitution, and the DAO can take a look at those mature versions.
Well, and you're starting to build the DAO because now we have community channels that are like.
And anyone, immediate audience or future audience, can look at the archived earlier versions.
And one last thing. Should it be allowed? We have to be like when not ramp it up.
When he'll tell us, and it'll be when he sees X human beings, not bots, actively engaging our community on a daily basis.
Okay.
I don't know if X is 1 million, 100,000, 10,000, or 1,000. But we don't have any of those numbers. But there will be a number that he sees that a switch. This is how it'll be for the world. A switch will go off in his head and he'll go, these are my other projects. I'm subordinating them. My priority is in 6 weeks I'm going to have the Satoshi platform done. So that's how, that's the world we live in.
So that's all I got. That was the greatest session I think we've had so far. Like every time we keep topping it up.
Getting better. Not that we were ever bad. But we did amazing.
I was gonna head over there just to see what's going on, but
Well, it's a school night, so what are your commitments for the next hour or two?
Oh, hungry. I can do something till like 9, 7 right now.
You don't have a boxing game.
what are your
I'm hungry. I'm curious about next door, but I don't want it to become a rabbit hole. I'm eager to eat and go back and write. But if there's an investor next door who looks at our elevator pitch and is like, that has happened to us, where how much do you need? Like, there's no contract. They just give you the money.
I mean, as a teenager, just new to this, that would be a pretty crazy experience.
It's your Zuckerberg moment. It's like, motherfucker, I'm here. Like I got something to say. Let's do it.
But I guess I'm gonna eat.
yeah, we can get a snack.
We can get an appetizer next door to pull us over.